Chapter 1593. Empyrean god Yudang gave a simple explanation, and all of them were stunned after hearing it. The general gist of it was that after the evil spirits were sealed, they were sealed in several pearls, each of which contained the bodies of the evil spirits. Once they were gathered, the evil spirits would be resurrected. Who would have thought that they would still be alive even after being cut into so many pieces? This was enough to show just how terrifying the evil spirits were. Back then, in the Battle of Emperor Gods, everything had ended quickly after the evil god had been sealed. Otherwise, the battle would definitely have continued until the evil god had broken through to become an emperor god. No wonder Empyrean god Torrential Cloud has been lurking here for so long. He's searching for the evil spirit's pearl, right? Realm Lord Xiao Tian was puzzled. That's right. They're heading straight for the evil spirit's pearl. However, only I know about this. I don't know where Empyrean god Torrential Cloud is. He would never have thought that the heretic god's orb would fuse with the inheritor, right? There's no way to sense it in its normal state. However, the power of the evil spirits is simply too powerful. According to the inheritors, you will be the next inheritor. Empyrean god Yudang looked at Realm Lord Xiao Tian. In other words, you will be the next inheritor to use your body to seal the evil spirit's pearl. This process will be painful, but this is the only way to prevent the destruction of the god realm. Realm Lord Xiao Tian and the others' hearts trembled. They didn't think that they would be given such an arduous task. The Heaven Cultivation God Realm was a very normal god realm, but they were suddenly told that they had to shoulder the responsibility of being the saviors of the world. However, it really isn't worth it to put our Heaven Cultivation God Realm in danger. A wry smile appeared on the faces of Realm Lord Xiao Tian and the others. They weren't the most powerful faction, but it wasn't worth it to seal this thing. It is indeed not worth it, but we can use the evil spirit's pearl to unleash even more power. Your body is still very strong and young, so you can use it for a long time. When you truly unleash your full power, you will be able to sweep through all intermediate heavenly gods. When you break through to the upper heavenly god stage, you will also be able to stand at an extremely high level among the upper heavenly gods. Moreover, our heavenly god domain is able to obtain the protection of some experts of the older generation. Of course, they didn't seem to have appeared earlier. Perhaps they would only appear at the most critical moment. It's also possible that it won't appear, so I don't dare to take the risk. Towards the end, heavenly deity Yudang felt a little awkward. Who could be certain of the oath he made back then? If the older generation were all in seclusion or had long since ceased to exist, and no one came to rescue them, they would really be waiting for death. Everyone looked at the evil spirit's pearl on heavenly god Yudang's chest. It had already sunk deep into his body. Although he was not injured, his energy had been continuously absorbed, and he was still lacking in strength. Now, I'm telling you about this matter. It's already a critical moment. I have to confess and let you know what responsibility is. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to figure out why we were captured one day, Empyrean god Yudang said. Heavenly Cultivation Realm Lord and the others finally understood why Empyrean god Sky Tower was fighting so desperately. It was all for this evil spirit's pearl. I think those seniors will most likely come to rescue us. If they don't, Empyrean god Sky Tower will definitely bring more of his comrades to attack us. However, he won't dare to do anything rash. A small scuffle might not attract attention, but if he goes overboard, he will most likely attract attention, Yi Tianyun interjected. Everyone nodded. They had all thought of this. If it weren't for this, the evil spirit tribe would most likely have already charged out. That should be the case. Empyrean god Yudang sighed. However, we lost the evil spirit's pearl. Without this responsibility, the heavenly god domain probably wouldn't have lasted for so long. Most forces will quickly decline, but our heavenly god domain is still very strong. It's all thanks to the protection of our ancestors and the protection of the evil spirit's pearl that we are able to survive. There were so many forces in the heavenly god domain, and it was very common for them to disappear and reappear. The heavenly god domain being so strong really did have something to do with the protection of the evil spirit's pearl. Senior, do the 4th grade heavenly god domains have a similar responsibility? Yi Tianyun asked. I'm not sure about that. Everything is extremely secretive. The most I know is that the evil spirits are divided into several pearls, but I really don't know who takes them and who controls them, Empyrean god Yudong explained. This is most likely for the sake of concealment. This is a very dangerous matter, and it definitely can't be disclosed. Everyone present was a core member of the heavenly god domain, so they were all trustworthy. Only Yi Tianyun and the others were not disciples of the heavenly god domain, but they had all helped the heavenly god domain, especially Yi Tianyun, who had helped them a lot. Under such circumstances, Empyrean god Yudong had already regarded him as one of his own, so he naturally wouldn't avoid suspicion. Everyone nodded. The evil spirit's pearl was such a precious treasure, and it was used to seal the evil spirits. If the evil spirit race knew about it, they would definitely rush over to snatch it. Therefore, it was very correct not to disclose it. It had to be completely hidden. As for burying it in the ground, it was better to carry it with him. That was the safest. At the same time, he could use his own strength to suppress it. It was really more effective than any formation. But the price was very obvious. Empyrean god Yudong, who was an upper heavenly god, was affected to this extent. It was enough to show how terrifying the evil spirits were. I can still hold on for a while, but I want to ask you now, are you willing to accept this heavy responsibility? Empyrean god Yudong looked at him with a serious expression. This was a very serious matter. I am willing to accept this heavy responsibility. Heavenly God Domain Lord did not hesitate and immediately agreed. Perhaps others did not know what they had sacrificed, but at least one thing was clear, and that was to continue to seal the evil spirits, so that there would not be another battle between God Emperor. Only in this way could they protect their own forces. The others did not know, but it was enough to protect their own forces. The great Devas looked at his father and did not say anything. Perhaps the next inheritor would be him. The premise was that he could really wait until then. Yi Tianyun immediately felt deep respect for their actions. It seemed that the heavenly god domain also had a bright side. They sought geniuses and constantly nurtured geniuses. They wanted to greatly strengthen the heavenly god domain in a short period of time, so that they could protect the evil spirit's pearl. However, a super expert was not so easy to nurture, even a genius would not be able to do so. In this state, it was really dangerous to still protect such a thing. Chapter 1594. Yi Tianyun was very impressed by Old Master Chen's awareness. However, if it was him, he would do the same. It was not that he was a savior, but that the evil spirits had brought about a calamity when they had descended. No matter what faction it was, they would be affected. It did not matter if the other factions were affected, but in the end, their own factions would definitely be affected. Moreover, most of the factions had chosen to resist the evil spirit race, so as long as the other factions were not finished, the evil spirit race would not be particularly rampant. Just as he was thinking about something, heavenly deity Yu Dang looked at them and said, "Little friend, your performance this time is excellent. I will put down my pride and ask little friend to help the Heaven Cultivation God Realm. Perhaps the Heaven Cultivation God Realm has let you down, but please do not mind. From today onwards, the Heaven Cultivation God Realm will definitely treat you like an elder. We will not treat you badly either. We will give you all kinds of resources and even provide you with the best cultivation place." Heavenly deity Yu Dang had really put down his pride and come to rope in Yi Tianyun. Everyone had seen Yi Tianyun's performance. Not only could he kill heavenly gods, but he could also heal everyone. He also had the foundation of a 10 refinement Earth Lord. Just these points alone were enough for him to be an elder. However, if Yi Tianyun did not join, he would not be able to become an elder, right? But even if he joined, it would not be so easy to become an elder. He had helped a lot, but it would be too much to become an elder just like that. Many people did not understand what kind of personality Yi Tianyun had and what the real situation was. Becoming an elder just like that was undoubtedly too child's play. The current situation would be better. Most of the heavenly venerables and heavenly gods had received his help, which would undoubtedly help him become an elder. However, he had no interest in the position of an elder. The reason he could come to help the Heaven Cultivation God Realm was largely because the Great Devas was here. Yi Tianyun was not in a hurry to answer. Instead, he turned to look at the great Devas, wanting to see what his master had to say. If the great Devas said that he would become an elder, then he would become an elder here. Heavenly Cloud has its own faction, and it has more to manage. There's no need for me to join. The great Devas shook his head and said, but you don't need to say anything, Patriarch Yudong. He'll definitely come to help. Just because I'm here as his master, he will definitely come over to help. The great Devas shook his head and smiled bitterly. As the master, how could he not know the reason? Wasn't it because of him that Yi Tianyun and the others were able to arrive in time? Could it be that they saw injustice and pulled out their swords to help? Thank you for your kindness, Senior. Junior's words are indeed reasonable. You don't even need to say anything, this junior will come over to help. Moreover, after learning about the evil spirit's orb, I knew I couldn't escape. Yi Tianyun smiled faintly and said, if I don't act, once the evil spirit's orb gathers, all the forces will be finished. Including my faction, there's no way I can refuse. Yi Tianyun was a sensible person, and they also knew what it meant. Once the evil spirits came again, everything would fall into darkness. Who could escape then? If they were not willing to come over to help, when the forces were finished, their own forces would definitely be affected. As for surrendering, that was not a problem. They would become their slaves for life. This was undoubtedly a choice that no one wanted to see. Sigh, little friend is still sensible. However, many people are still interested in the power of the evil spirits. Even if it's not the evil spirit tribe, many people will want to have the evil spirit's orb for the power within it. Heavenly God Yudong shook his head, somewhat blinded by greed. They coveted a moment of invincibility and wanted to have the evil spirit's orb. They didn't care about the consequences of gathering the evil spirit's orb. They only thought about how many forces they could rule when they had the evil spirit's orb. What they didn't know was that although the evil spirit's orb was very powerful, it was not invincible. When surrounded by the powerful evil spirit tribe, it was still easy to be killed. Or like Heavenly God Yudong, his body was slowly eroded, but in the end, it was all for naught. However, they just coveted a moment of invincibility, nothing else mattered. There were quite a few of such people, and in fact, a lot of them. Therefore, it was a very correct choice not to publicize it. There was no need to make things difficult for themselves. Then let's not talk about the rest. We will still give you the resources that should be given. Your authority will be set at the level of an elder. Heavenly God Yudong still gave Yi Tianyun the authority of an elder. Although he wouldn't join, he would still help in the future. If he didn't give some benefits, he would really feel bad. Especially since he had helped so much this time, even if he didn't want to give any rewards, he had to. Then I won't stand on ceremony. Of course, Yi Tianyun wouldn't stand on ceremony. He was going to help in the future, and he was risking his life to help. If he didn't even give some benefits, it would really be disappointing. Thus, they began to discuss some things, such as the defense plan. No one knew when Heavenly God torrential clouds would attack again, so they had to be prepared for anything. Just as they were discussing a bunch of things, Yi Tianyun interjected, "Seniors, have you never considered forming an alliance?" It was very difficult for just one power to do anything. They had to gather together in order to have a chance of resisting the evil spirits. We've considered it, but we're not confident that these so-called alliances won't stab us in the back. Wry smiles appeared on their faces. They couldn't even trust their own people, let alone allies. Of course, the alliances I'm talking about are those that possess the evil spirit's pearl. Is there no news at all? If they wanted to form a true alliance, they definitely wouldn't be able to trust any random power. However, if they were all guardians of the evil spirit's pearl, then things would be different. They all had heavy responsibilities on their shoulders, so it would be perfect if they were united. It's impossible to say that there is no news at all, but I'm not sure if I'm 100% sure. Heavenly God Yudong thought for a moment before saying, I heard that among the 4th grade god realms, the Yulong god realm, the most powerful one, might be the guardian of the evil spirit's pearl, and the Fector god realm might also be the guardian of the evil spirit's pearl. The Yulong god realm and the Fector god realm? Yi Tianyun thought of the Fector god realm. Heavenly god torrential clouds suspected that he was a disciple of the Fector god realm, but this was too mysterious, so he decided not to talk about it. Then, he thought for a moment before saying, "The Fector god realm is too mysterious, and it's difficult to contact them. Are you not going to contact the Yulong god realm?" They looked at Yi Tianyun with strange expressions. Heavenly Sovereign Sword Sai nudged Yi Tianyun with his elbow and said with a smile, "Little junior brother, you don't even know what the Yulong god realm is like?" "I really don't know about this." Yi Tianyun shook his head. The Yulong god realm is full of female cultivators, and it is extremely repulsive to males. Let alone an alliance, any male that enters will be chased out, and in serious cases, they will be killed. "How do you think we're going to contact them?" Heavenly Sovereign Sword Sai said with a smile. Chapter 1595. Who would have thought that this Yulong god domain was made up of only female cultivators? This shocked Yi Tianyun greatly. He was shocked that there was such a special god domain in the god domain. If it was a small force, it wouldn't be strange if they were all female cultivators. But now, the entire god domain was made up of female cultivators. This was especially shocking. It was simply a special existence among the many god domains. There's such a special god domain, and its overall strength is ranked first. Yi Tianyun was shocked. That's right, this is indeed shocking. Yulong god domain only recruits female cultivators. As long as they are female cultivators, they will be recruited, regardless of their cultivation, talent, or age. The great Devas shook his head and said, "The overall strength ranked first was actually female cultivators. All along, in most regions, men were superior to women. But now, they were being ruthlessly crushed. Some forces felt really upset. Perhaps this is because Yulong god domain constantly recruits female cultivators. That's why it has such a standard. By constantly recruiting female cultivators, the chances of finding geniuses are higher. After all, most forces don't put female cultivators in an important position. On this point, it's the same as those disciples with average or average talent. When it accumulates to a certain extent, it will become very terrifying." Yi Tianyun's words exposed the truth, and it was a very cruel truth. Women held up half the sky. The number of female cultivators was also incomparably shocking. But most of them didn't get the status or respect they deserved. Unless they performed extremely well from the start, or if they came from an illustrious family, it would be easy for them to get respect. Thus, most of the female cultivators in this region chose to join Yulong god domain. This resulted in Yulong god domain having many talented female cultivators. This caused the other god domains to be incomparably embarrassed. By the time they reacted, it was already too late. Yulong god domain had already surpassed most god domains, becoming an outstanding existence among the fourth-grade god domains. These words indeed made them feel incomparably embarrassed. Especially the second half of Yi Tianyun's words, it really pierced the hearts of the elders who supported genius. However, they had no way of rebutting him now. Yulong's god domain was an example. He recruited all kinds of disciples. Some of them were female cultivators that weren't valued at all. But in the end, all of them turned over a new leaf and became the strongest of their generation. It turned out that female cultivators could also hold up half of the sky, and they were the very powerful ones. That's true. The great Devas, who was at the side, laughed. This disciple of his was truly ruthless. Even at a time like this, he did not forget to improve himself. That's more or less what it means. The other party is all female cultivators and they are extremely repellent towards cultivation. Even if we go over to contact them, they might not even respond. After all, there are quite a few female cultivators who left through us. Their situation is rather awkward. This was the awkward part. Those who couldn't be put in an important position would be put in an important position in the past and soar to the sky. Any faction would have slapped their thighs in regret over such a matter. However, this was the status of female cultivators. The concept of men being superior to women was deeply ingrained and could not be changed in a short period of time. Even so, no matter what, they would still consider old friendships, right? Yi Tianyun asked doubtfully. Old friendships? Her. Domain Lord Shoutian and the others laughed awkwardly. Although they did not explain, Yi Tianyun had a rough idea of what was going on. Without a doubt, there was no such thing as old friendships. They were directly treated coldly. Why would they care about them? Under such circumstances, wouldn't they be chased out of Yuelong's god domain? Even so, they should know some information. For example, you are the protectors, and they will contact you, right? How to put it? As the protectors, they should be united. It would be great if that was the case. As the number one faction in the god domain, they should not be in any danger. Why would they contact us? Domain Lord Shoutian shook his head. We have thought about this long ago, but we want to, but they don't. We tried to contact them once or twice, but who knew that we would be chased out and refused to see them? So resistant. Yi Tianyun was shocked. No matter what, there shouldn't be a problem with contacting them, right? They are so resistant. Unless someone introduces them, there is no way to contact them. Domain Lord Shoutian and the others shook their heads and laughed bitterly. Someone introduces them? Then why don't you find someone to introduce you? Yi Tianyun looked at them and said. That is true. But if the introducer's status is too low, there is no meaning. If their status is too high, they won't care about us. Domain Lord Shoutian shook his head. Oh right, there is a female cultivator with a good status. Even though she is no longer in Yuelong's god domain, her reputation is good. But she has disappeared recently. I don't know where she went. The great Devas said. Which female cultivator? Yi Tianyun asked curiously. Supreme Feng Qiu. The great Devas said in a low voice. Supreme Feng Qiu has a very high status in Yuelong's god domain. She is equivalent to an elder. But she suddenly left. But recently, it was revealed that she is a witch, that her parents are the main culprits of the God-Emperor battle. It is simply a joke. However, these words will deceive many cultivators, and they will believe it to be true. If we find Supreme Feng Qiu, we can introduce her. But whether or not they will allow us to form an alliance is another matter. Yi Tianyun had a strange expression. He did not expect Supreme Feng Qiu to have such a shocking status. He thought that she was a lone traveler from the start. So she was not a lone traveler from the start. She had a very high status in Yuelong's god domain. Little junior brother, aren't you quite familiar with Supreme Feng Qiu? Why don't you ask her? Sword Sai Heavenly Venerable said from the side. Everyone looked at him. They did not expect that Yi Tianyun and Supreme Feng Qiu would be quite familiar. This is indeed very familiar. Yi Tianyun laughed. Not only were they familiar, they were from their own forces. Now that they had joined the god domain of the three realms, if Supreme Feng Qiu brought them over, what would they do if the other side pulled them back? This time, their eyes lit up. If they could form an alliance, they would have a backer. If a war broke out, Yuelong's god domain would immediately send reinforcements. Ding, received special quest forming an alliance with Yuelong's god domain. After completion, received reward of main quest difficulty reduced by half. At the same time, received 10,000 crazy points, 10,000 proficiency points, and increased friendship between Yuelong's god domain and Heaven Cultivation god domain. Chapter 1596. This special mission is about forming an alliance with my faction. As for Shoutian god domain, that's just along the way. If one looked closely, they would realize that it was different. It was not to form an alliance for Shoutian god domain, but to use the Three Realms god domain as a representative to form an alliance with Yulong god domain. If they formed an alliance with Yulong god domain, then Shoutian god domain was basically just along the way. Then Yi Tianyun looked at them and smiled. Alright, I'll go talk to Feng Qiu Zun, you guys can send a representative over. The representative is the great clan elder. Shoutian domain lord did not even think, and clapped his hands to let the great Devas go over. The great Devas was not only the great clan elder, he was also his son. What was there not to trust? There would be no problem letting the great Devas go over to handle it. Moreover, with his own disciple, there was no need to talk about it. It would undoubtedly be more convenient to discuss matters. Alright, I'll go find Feng Qiu Zun now. Yi Tianyun did not say it out loud. Feng Qiu Zun was staying in his Three Realms god domain. he would be scared to death if he said it. Feng Qiuzun, who was so hard to deal with, was actually dealt with by him. Following that, Yi Tianyun turned and left. He was originally a little hesitant, wondering if he should go find Feng Qiuzun. Now that he thought about it, it was for the sake of his Three Realms God Domain. It was better to go contact Yulong God Domain. Thinking about it, the goal was the same a long time ago. It meant that both had similar thoughts. This way, communication would be easier. Very quickly, he returned to the Three Realms God Domain, and found Feng Qiuzun, who was running around in the Three Realms God Domain. When he found her, she was still teaching them all sorts of martial arts, or giving them pointers. It had to be said that Feng Qiuzun really enjoyed it, and could not stay idle for even a moment. Feng Qiuzun, have you never thought of resting? You don't need to do this. Yi Tianyun did not know whether to laugh or cry. I really can't stay idle. You've helped me so much. Staying here and doing nothing, it's really embarrassing. Feng Qiuzun smiled embarrassedly. All right, but you'll be able to help me with something soon. Yi Tianyun smiled lightly. What kind of help? Feng Qiuzun's eyes lit up. It was obvious that he belonged to the type that would feel uncomfortable if he did not help. Were you in Yulong's God Domain a long time ago? Yi Tianyun asked directly. Yes, I've stayed in Yulong God Domain before. What's the matter? Venerable Feng Qiu asked curiously. She didn't hide anything. Those who knew a little about her long ago knew that she had stayed in the Yulong God Domain. Yes, I want the Three Realms Deity Domain to form an alliance with the Yulong Deity Domain. Yi Tianyun did not talk about the Shoutian Deity Domain, but about the Three Realms Deity Domain. Alliance with Yulong God Domain? Venerable Feng Qiu was stunned when she heard this. Yes, the Three Realms Deity Realm is allied with Yulong Deity Realm. Hence, I need you to introduce me. Otherwise, if I go over, I will definitely be kicked out. Yi Tianyun laughed. I'm afraid that won't be possible. It's a little too difficult. Even if I were to recommend him, it would be very difficult. She knew how strong the Three Realms Deity Realm was. To actually form an alliance with Yulong God Domain, wasn't the difference too great? The so-called alliance, first of all, the difference between the two sides couldn't be too great, or they had the same status. Only then could it be called an alliance. If the difference was too great, then it wouldn't be an alliance, but a vassal. This was like an ordinary cultivator saying that he wanted to be friends with a powerful Empyrean. Unless he had saved the Empyrean, why would the Empyrean lower himself to befriend him? I know this. Leave the rest to me. I will make Yulong God Domain acknowledge us. Yi Tianyun smiled, full of confidence. Since that's the case, then no problem. The recommendation isn't difficult. I can't help much from it. The difficulty is too great. Even if I had some authority in Yulong God Domain in the past, I can't completely interfere. Venerable Feng Qiu shook her head. She would recommend him, but this was a small favor. Whether or not it would succeed was not up to her. All right, wait for me here. When I'm ready, I'll come find you. After Yi Tianyun gave his instructions, he directly went to the dark trial area. When he came to the dark trial area, the artifact spirit appeared again. It looked at him and asked, "Are you ready? With my current cultivation, how high is the success rate?" Yi Tianyun asked. Your cultivation has already broken through, but the success rate is still 50-50. Everything depends on your luck. The artifact spirit still threw out this success rate, making him feel very speechless. Previously, it was 50-50. Now that his cultivation had risen by 2 levels, the success rate was still the same. He didn't know what to say. Could it be based on my previous strength? Yi Tianyun thought about it. If the opponent was very strong, even if he broke through by 2 levels, the artifact spirit's data was not enough to increase the success rate. After thinking for a while, Yi Tianyun still decided to go for the trial. His overall strength could even fight against a middle heavenly god. It couldn't be that there was such a strong existence inside, right? I'll continue to participate in the trial. Yi Tianyun walked over and said. In his opinion, since the other party gave a 50-50 success rate, then the difficulty might be within the acceptable range. All right, then please enter. The artifact spirit waved his hand, and the passage in front opened slightly. Yi Tianyun didn't hesitate to enter, but as soon as he entered, he immediately felt an evil force coming towards him. When he took a closer look, he discovered that there was a dried corpse floating in the air. On this dried corpse, there was a pearl embedded. Evil spirit's orb. Yi Tianyun's eyes narrowed, but he didn't show any surprise. Everything was within his expectations. When he knew that there was an evil spirit's orb, he guessed that there would be an evil spirit's orb here. After thinking about it carefully, he felt that there would definitely be an evil spirit's orb here. This was an area set up by the divine spirit race. One of the reasons they spent so much was to seal the evil spirit's orb. If he obtained the evil spirit's orb, then the alliance would be assured. As protectors, no one wished for anything to happen to the other. This was the reason why he let Feng Qiuzun rest assured. With the evil spirit's orb, he could be a companion. He just didn't know if the evil spirit's orb was sealed, or if it appeared in some other form. Now he knew, it appeared in the form of a corpse. The opponent in the last stage was most likely a possessor controlled by the power of evil spirits. Could it be that this is the original master of the Three Realms deity realm? Chapter 1597. Vaguely, Yi Tianyun could see a head floating in the evil spirit's pearl. The appraisal eye also displayed the information in front of him. Evil spirit's pearl, the head of the evil spirits is sealed in it. It has the most terrifying power of the evil spirits. Sealing it requires a lot of power. When used at the same time, it has the terrifying power of the evil spirits, which is enough to destroy everything. The corrosive effect is far greater than the other parts of the evil spirits. As expected, the head of the evil spirits is sealed here. Otherwise, there would not be such a heaven-defying god's seal here in the god realm of the Three Realms. When all kinds of seals are stacked together, the power of the evil spirit's pearl can be sealed. However, if the person possessed by the evil god's pearl was really the leader of the divine spirit clan, wouldn't that be a little too miserable? With such a powerful god's seal, it can't even seal a head. Does it need to be sealed with its own body? However, when he looked carefully, he found that the floating corpse is indeed from the divine spirit clan, but it doesn't seem to be the leader. Elder of the divine spirit clan, the power of the evil spirits is sealed in its body. It still has its own consciousness, but it is already in a blurry state. Its cultivation is at the early stage of the medium god realm. So it's an elder of the divine spirit clan. Yi Tianyun breathed a sigh of relief. But if it's an elder of the divine spirit clan who sealed it, then what about the leader of the divine spirit clan? Maybe he will know the truth after passing this test. Then, he lifted his foot and walked forward. As soon as he stepped into the formation, the floating corpse suddenly moved. It slowly raised its head and looked over. One of its eyes was white and the other was black. This phenomenon means that the power of the evil spirits has already corroded its head. Someone finally came. The dry voice sounded like scraping against the wall. It was very ear-piercing and uncomfortable. Haha, someone finally came. Can I, the evil spirits, absorb some blood? Or do you want to seal me again? It's been too long since I've had fresh blood for me to absorb. I've been absorbing this body for so long, but there's no smell at all. The mummy suddenly laughed loudly. Its twisted face looked completely different from before. Whether it was his voice or his tone, they were on two different levels. One was dry and weak, like a lamp that had run out of oil. The other was full of energy and evil. The evil spirits have already corrupted me to this extent. Yi Tianyun sucked in a breath of cold air. It seemed that possessing the evil spirit's orb came with such a powerful side effect. The evil spirits were too strong. They were cultivators that were infinitely close to becoming god emperors. Not only were they hard to kill, even if they were dismembered, they wouldn't die. Kill me, seal the orb of evil spirits. Soon, another voice sounded, telling Yi Tianyun to kill him. Haha, come and kill me if you can. You're just a middle-level heavenly master. I don't know how you came in, but you're pretty good to come in and give me your blood. After a while, when I have completely taken over this body, I will be able to rush out. The evil spirits laughed again, looking at Yi Tianyun with disdain. This elder of the divine spirit tribe was at least an intermediate heavenly god. Now that he had the power of the evil god, it would not be easy to kill him. Rush out. I think with your ability, you can't do it. Yi Tianyun sneered and said if it was so easy to rush out, you would have already rushed out. He tightly held the 5-dragon divine spear in his hand, ready to fight. This was the last trial. Kill the elder of the divine spirit race and become the guardian of the evil god's orb. He will also become like this, letting the evil spirit's orb enter his body, and then his blood essence will be extracted bit by bit. This process is very slow, unless he uses the evil spirit's orb, otherwise it will be very slow. But no matter how slow it is, his blood essence will be extracted bit by bit. No matter which guardian it is, the final outcome will be the same. Unless he moves out in advance, he can live for a while longer, but it will be very difficult to replenish his blood essence. He hasn't even fought yet, he already has to make a choice, either die or become a guardian. However, the evil spirits in front of him will not allow Yi Tianyun to become a guardian. If he becomes a guardian, he will continue to be trapped for a very long time. How can he control the divine spirit clan elder's body like now? Especially now, he wants to kill Yi Tianyun to absorb more blood essence to fill his own needs. The more blood he absorbs, the more power he can recover. But how to absorb? He only has one head, his power can't be that strong. Brat, you're quite arrogant. Even if I can't get out, at least I can still kill you. The evil spirits shouted, controlling the divine spirit clan elder's body to attack. His power quickly increased, from the original intermediate heavenly god level to the intermediate heavenly god level. Obviously, the evil spirit's own power has been poured in. Only in this way can he better control this body. Yi Tianyun's expression was indifferent as he looked at the evil god that was rushing towards him. No wonder it was said that he had a 50-50 chance of winning this round. If the divine spirit clan's elder's soul power had the upper hand, then he could easily win this round. On the other hand, if the evil spirits have the upper hand, then he will face the 50% chance of failure. Now, it is the other 50% chance. The evil spirits have already controlled the body and increased their power. Combined with Yi Tianyun's previous level, this is really the success rate. However, that was then and this was now. Now that his cultivation had increased, he could even fight against a middle-level celestial god. 5 dragons roar. 5 dragons bracer. Dragon and Phoenix divine meridians, open. He went all out. He was so much stronger than him, especially when facing an evil god. If he didn't use it, then he would be a fool. He is not a fool, and he will not underestimate his enemy. He has always adhered to one principle, and that is, a lion will use all its strength to fight a rabbit. Boom! The violent attack blasted, accompanied by a terrifying loud sound, and both of them were sent flying. The divine spirit clan elder's withered body was sent flying even further, and finally hit the protective shield, making a bang sound and bouncing back. Poochie, the divine spirit clan elder spat out a mouthful of blood, but it was just a little bit. His body was almost drained, and there was no blood left. Yi Tianyun's situation is not bad. His body was slightly shaken, and he suffered some internal injuries, but he will be fine after a little recovery. In the first exchange, Yi Tianyun has a slight advantage. Chapter 1598. The evil spirits couldn't gain any advantage, and neither could Yi Tianyun. The two were tied. However, the evil spirits were definitely at a disadvantage. The evil spirits couldn't absorb spiritual energy like Yi Tianyun could, so they were completely sealed. The only thing they could absorb was the body of the divine spirit tribe elder. However, as time passed, the divine spirit tribe elder would be sucked dry. Therefore, as the attacks continued, the consumption would only increase. Eventually, the evil spirits wouldn't be able to fight back. They could either kill the divine spirit tribe elder directly or stall for time. Both were very good ways to win. Especially the latter. Even if they couldn't beat the divine spirit tribe elder, they could still stall for time. Especially if the evil spirit's power was reduced. Once the divine spirit tribe elder's consciousness gained the upper hand, everything would be settled. As expected of the power of the evil spirits. It's really evil. Yi Tianyun saw that the 5-dragon divine spear in his hand had been contaminated with pitch-black energy, and it was spreading to the spear shaft. However, when he shook it, the evil energy quickly disappeared. If he was attacked many times in a row, the evil energy would really invade his body. No wonder you could come in. It seems like you have some ability to become a guardian. But how can you be so strong as a middle heavenly venerate? The evil spirit's pitch-black eyes stared at the divine spirit tribe elder's body and licked his lips. But this is more in line with my wishes. If it was too weak, there wouldn't be any challenge, and there wouldn't be any feeling when absorbing it. The next moment, the evil spirit straightened his body, and the evil spirit's pearl on his chest suddenly released pitch-black energy that covered his entire body. A moment later, the divine spirit tribe elder's shriveled body quickly filled up, and he became extremely strong in the blink of an eye. The originally shriveled old man had turned into a sturdy young man in the blink of an eye. His aura and mental state were much stronger than before. This was the power that the evil spirits had absorbed back into the divine spirit clan elder's body, allowing the divine spirit clan elder's body to return to its peak state. Only in this way would he be able to unleash even greater power. Soon, a perfect body appeared in front of him. The level of power suddenly rose to the level of an upper heavenly god. The pressure instantly enveloped him, making Yi Tianyun feel even more pressure. Sure enough, he still had to face such a terrifying level. It would be difficult for him to win against the evil spirits of an upper heavenly god. There was already a huge disparity between their cultivations, making it even more difficult for them to fight. However, this was within his expectations. He was facing an evil spirits, not an ordinary cultivator. Now, let's have some fun. The evil spirits licked their lips and walked towards Yi Tianyun. Every step they took left a deep black mark on the ground. Yi Tianyun could feel that this was only a small part of the evil spirit's power. Even after its power was sealed, it still had such terrifying power. What if it was a complete evil spirits? Thinking about it, it was terrifying. Come on. Yi Tianyun held the 5-dragon divine spear tightly. He was already prepared to fight to the death. He would slowly consume the power of the evil spirits and he would be able to win. Just as he was about to fight, the evil spirits suddenly froze. They wanted to continue walking towards him, but they froze on the spot. You bastard, you are not dead yet. If you are not dead, how can I die? Give me back my body. The divine spirit clan elder suddenly shouted. He raised his palm and aimed it at his chest, trying to pierce through himself. The moment he was about to stab, his body moved slightly to the side. The palm that had turned into a sharp sword slashed at himself, cutting off his arm. Poochie, blood spurted out and dyed the ground black. It seemed like even the blood in his body had turned black. Bastard, you are wasting the energy I have stored. This is my body. I can do whatever I want. The two soul consciousnesses were fighting to see who would gain the upper hand. Swoosh. A cold light flashed from the side and instantly hit the divine spirit clan elder's body, piercing through him. The divine spirit clan elder turned his head and found that a long spear had pierced through him. Yi Tianyun was standing next to him. The violent spear thrust into his own chest without the slightest bit of hesitation. Young friend, thank you. The elder of the divine spirit clan smiled as if he had been relieved of his burden. Damn it. Kid, are you crazy? The evil spirits once again took over his body. He reached out and grabbed the 5-dragon divine spear, pulling it out. Then, he quickly retreated. At the same time, the big hole in his chest was quickly healed. The evil spirit's pearl was constantly emitting energy to repair it. However, as the heretical god's pearl was repaired, the light emitted by the heretical god's pearl grew dimmer. This was the effect of excessive consumption. However, if he did not consume it, he would not even have a chance to fight back. Swoosh, swoosh. The reply was not Yi Tianyun's voice, but the 5-dragon divine spear. He wanted to kill the evil spirits. The divine spirit clan elder knew that the longer he delayed, the more dangerous it would be. Therefore, he wanted to kill the evil spirits as quickly as possible. The evil spirits quickly dodged. However, he was not in a good situation with a broken arm. Especially after being stabbed by the spear, it was extremely injured. His overall strength had decreased greatly. He had originally been promoted to the upper celestial god level, but now he had fallen to the intermediate celestial god level. He was not much different from before. In fact, he was even weaker. You are just an ant. How dare you resist? After dodging several times, the evil spirits flew into a rage. Even if I have to exhaust all my strength, I will destroy you. The evil spirits roared. The evil spirit's pearl in his chest completely erupted with all its energy. The terrifying power of the evil spirits surged out and enveloped his body. Soon, the injuries on his body healed. His body was restored to its peak state. His combat power had actually reached the upper celestial god level. It seemed that he had really released all his energy in order to kill Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun was undoubtedly challenging his dignity. Therefore, even if he had to risk everything, he had to kill him. Is that so? Let's see if you have the ability to do so. Yi Tianyun's eyes were burning. Even if he had to risk everything, he had to kill this evil spirits. This time, no matter what, he had to pass the trial. After all, he still had a lot of things to do. Especially the alliance. The evil spirit's pearl must be obtained. He absolutely could not let it go. Boom. Yi Tianyun erupted with all his strength, exerting it to the limit. He even activated the power of blood essence ignition. Do you want to start blood essence ignition? The system reminded. Chapter 1599. Ding. Starting to burn the power of blood essence, overall strength increased by 30 times. Power of blood essence consumed by 1%. Yi Tianyun usually did not burn the power of his blood essence. After all, it was not easy to recover. Unless he had no other choice, he would not burn the power of blood essence. In the past, the effects of the blood jade stones and the like were really negligible, basically negligible. He could still play like this in the past, but now he did not dare to do so casually. There were no similar recovery stones, and he did not get any lucky draws. He had accumulated a lot of lucky draws now, but he did not have any lucky draws. The things he got were basically useless. They were either bloodline duplicates or some ordinary experience cards. It was very difficult to get anything good. Unless he leveled up completely, it was still relatively difficult to get something new. Now he had no choice but to use it. Otherwise, he would not be able to deal with the evil spirits and would only be crushed. He did not hope to kill the evil spirits in a second. With his current strength, it would be very good if he could fight to a draw. As long as he could stall for time, he would be the winner. Boom. After using the power of blood essence, his combat power rose rapidly. Even if he faced an upper celestial god, he would be able to contend. It was impossible to defeat him, especially when the opponent was the evil spirits. Die, you ants and vermin that live here. A long black whip appeared in the hands of the evil spirits, and he lashed it heavily. This was a weapon formed by the power of the evil spirits. He did not have any weapons, so he could only use the power of the evil spirits to attack. If he had the heavenly god spiritual treasure, then Yi Tianyun would have died many times. 5 dragons roar. Yi Tianyun's eyes were firm. He attacked fearlessly, and the two quickly bombarded each other. Boom. Yi Tianyun flew backward. A layer of shield quickly appeared on his body, and the power of the attack was mostly offset. Overall, it was not a big deal. However, on the side of the evil spirits, under the bombardment, the power of the evil spirits became dim. He was not injured, but he consumed a lot of energy. He could not kill Yi Tianyun. It can become even stronger. The evil spirits were shocked. Previously, he thought that he was the strongest, but he didn't expect that he would be so much stronger. Based on common sense, it was already impossible for Yi Tianyun to erupt with such power as a middle-level heavenly venerate. It was even more unbelievable that he could become even stronger. Again, Yi Tianyun didn't stop to rest. Wielding the 5-dragon divine spear, he continued to fight against the evil spirits. Overall, it was still acceptable. It was just that the evil aura would gradually invade his body, making him feel a little uncomfortable. In the past, the title could still resist the invasion of evil energy. However, in the face of the terrifying evil energy of the evil spirits, it could only helplessly surrender. I don't believe it. The evil spirits also charged over and clashed head-on with Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun was pushed back again and again. The power of the evil spirits seeped deeper and deeper into his body. Even his arms were dyed black. However, he continued to fight head-on, completely ignoring the injuries on his body. After all, every time he clashed head-on, the other party would also become weaker. The power of the evil spirits could be said to decrease with each use. It wouldn't continue to increase. Yi Tianyun was different. He could still recover through things like the voodoo wood divine set or by consuming elixirs. The evil spirits could only attack him once and only exhaust him once. As time passed, he would only become weaker. As long as Yi Tianyun could persevere, everything would not be a problem. Reality proved that this was the case. Under the continuous attacks, the evil spirits became more and more nervous. Every attack would send Yi Tianyun flying. Sometimes, Yi Tianyun would even suffer serious injuries. However, every time, Yi Tianyun would stubbornly hold on and continue to recover from his injuries. Especially when he kept stuffing elixirs into his mouth, his recovery speed was extremely shocking. Yi Tianyun had crazy mode, which could enhance the effects of elixirs. Therefore, after stuffing elixirs into his mouth, he could greatly enhance his recovery ability and rapidly recover from his injuries. That's why Yi Tianyun was able to survive the continuous battles. As he attacked, the evil spirits became more and more anxious. If this continued, he would be finished. How did this kid cultivate? His recovery ability is so strong. The evil spirits' face became more and more ugly. If this continued, his energy would decrease, and he would not be able to control this body anymore. The Divine Spirit Clan Elder would definitely take over this body. After a few attacks, the evil spirits hurriedly stretched out his hand and said, "Kid, stop. I want to discuss something with you." Yi Tianyun didn't pay any attention to him at all. He kept stabbing the 5-dragon divine spear in his hand without any signs of stopping. "Stop. Stop right now. I am the evil spirits, a dignified evil spirits. I could have been an emperor god, but now I am sealed here. As long as you let me go, I will make you the second emperor god, or the strongest existence under me. At that time, you will be able to possess all the treasures here, and you will be able to order anyone to do things for you." The evil spirits began to tempt him, using the same old trick. But this old trick had many people falling for it. Too many people could not resist the temptation. Moreover, the evil spirits had a great reputation. If he was really resurrected, it would not be a problem for him to become an emperor god. As the one who saved him, the benefits he would receive would be extremely shocking. The benefits of being the strongest under him would naturally be amazing. Even if he could not break through to become an emperor god, he would at least be infinitely close to it. But this kind of temptation had no effect on Yi Tianyun. The 5-dragon divine spear in his hand continued to attack. He would not believe the nonsense of the evil spirits. The evil spirits would definitely make him sign a slave contract or something. Moreover, he had no interest in such things. What did he mean by ruling over everything? Even if he had such thoughts, he did not want to rely on the evil spirits for help. He wanted to do it himself. "Ah! You lunatic, unless you don't seal me, you will definitely be sucked dry by me," the evil spirits shouted. But no matter how he shouted, it was useless. The energy released by the evil spirit's pearl became weaker and weaker. If this continued, it would disappear. Finally, after a period of time, Yi Tianyun suddenly pierced through and hit the evil spirits again. As time passed, the evil spirit's power continued to decline. Finally, it fell to the level of a middle heavenly god. The danger level had basically dropped to a very low level. Therefore, it was still hit by Yi Tianyun's attack. Once again, the evil spirit's body was injured. Under this attack, the body immediately deflated like a deflated balloon, quickly returning to its previous shriveled state. Chapter 1600. Yi Tianyun breathed a sigh of relief after the Divine Spirit Clan Elder regained his consciousness. It seems that the Divine Spirit Clan Elder won't change back. This could be seen from the heretic god's pearl. The evil energy it had released had basically all been retracted. The evil spirits had released most of their energy. Now that the Elder's energy was dominant, They wouldn't take over the body. Elder, can you control it? Yi Tianyun asked. Yes, I can control my body. If it weren't for you, I would have fallen. At most, I could hold on for a while longer. I'm afraid I would be completely taken over, and my soul would disappear. The elder sighed, feeling lucky. Yi Tianyun felt lucky to see a living person. This way, he could understand a lot of things. Elder, are you the last guardian? Yi Tianyun asked as he looked around, but he didn't see anyone else. Normally, when a guardian couldn't hold on, they would immediately appoint a new guardian. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a good thing to be controlled. Yes, I am the last guardian. I wanted to go out and choose the next guardian, but the situation didn't allow it. When I wanted to go out, I was already a little bit controlled. I could only wait here for someone like you to appear. The elder was happy. I didn't expect that after so many years, it would finally happen. You know, the 3 realms exists in Fan Yu. I didn't have much hope. Fortunately, God still cares for us. He didn't completely destroy all hope. You can see the situation now. I can't continue to be a guardian. I'm going to die soon. Now, let me ask you, are you willing to be the next guardian? The elder's expression became serious. This is a very serious question. I don't want to force you. It's all up to you. If you don't choose to become a guardian, then I will seal the evil spirit's orb, but it won't be for too long. It won't last as long as a guardian. But if you become a protector, it means that your essence blood will be constantly absorbed. From beginning to end, it will be constantly absorbed until the next protector is found. Of course, in the process, you can use the power of the evil spirits to become extremely powerful. However, the price is also painful. It will accelerate the absorption of essence blood. The elder of the Divine Spirit clan didn't intend to force Yi Tianyun to accept it. Everything was up to him. Becoming a guardian wasn't a good job, but it wasn't too bad either. At the very least, it would make him invincible for a period of time. If I don't become a guardian, how long will this seal last? Asked Yi Tianyun. In at most 1,000 years, the seal will be broken. At the same time, the evil spirit's orb will be able to absorb spiritual energy more easily. If it's a guardian, it will absorb its own power. It won't be able to absorb the power of heaven and earth like when it's sealed. In terms of time, a guardian can control at least 10,000 years, or even longer. As long as it isn't used all the time, it can be sealed for a long time. After a moment of silence, Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up. Right, I wonder if I can seal the evil spirit's orb in this body. Then, Yi Tianyun took out the evil spirit puppet. He didn't want to have the evil spirit's orb on him. If possible, he naturally wanted to seal it in the evil spirit puppet's body. Evil Spirit Clan. The elder of the Divine Spirit Clan looked at the Evil Spirit Clan. He didn't know why Yi Tianyun had an Evil Spirit Clan with him. To be precise, this isn't an Evil Spirit Clan. It's a puppet I made myself. It looks no different from the Evil Spirit Clan. No matter how carefully I look, I can't see anything wrong with it. Yi Tianyun smiled. So that's how it is. You are indeed a magical existence. It is our luck that a genius like you appeared in the 3 realms. Only when you appeared could the 3 realms undergo earth-shattering changes. The elder of the Divine Spirit Clan naturally knew everything that was happening outside. Naturally, he was paying attention to Yi Tianyun's situation. It's just that this puppet's cultivation is too weak. If its cultivation was a bit stronger, it could be used as a guardian. This cultivation can't be lower than the middle level, heavenly venerable level. After all, if the evil spirits were a bit stronger, they would be easily affected. The elder of the Divine Spirit Clan said in a deep voice. Although it's a puppet, we have to be careful. Middle level, heavenly venerable level? Then please wait a moment. Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up, and he immediately smashed all the evil spirit's soul and evil spirit's blood on the puppet's body. He had killed many evil spirit clan members before and obtained many heavenly venerable level and even heavenly god level puppet materials. After smashing them, his cultivation rose steadily and he quickly broke through to heavenly venerable level. Then, a heavenly tribulation appeared. Heavenly tribulation? The elder of the Divine Spirit clan was shocked. He didn't expect a puppet to have heavenly tribulation, and it seems that its cultivation can continue to improve. Soon, Yi Tianyun mobilized the puppet to break through the heavenly tribulation and successfully broke through to heavenly venerable level. Then, he rushed up again and easily reached middle level heavenly venerable level. He almost broke through to upper level heavenly venerable level. But he didn't stop. He threw the materials into the shop and sold them, then bought them again and again. He bought them in piles and then continued to smash them. Soon, he broke through to upper level heavenly venerable level, but it was only at early level. He didn't dare to continue, mainly because he spent too much crazy points. After a while, he will go to the evil spirit clan and kill them, then he can easily level up. A puppet is just a puppet. The experience it needs is much less than mine. Yi Tianyun was very satisfied with this. Fortunately, he had a lot of materials, otherwise, he wouldn't be able to break through to this level. After the upgrade, Yi Tianyun looked at the elder of the Divine Spirit clan and said with a smile, "Elder, I am ready. I don't know if you are satisfied. This is amazing. I have never seen such a terrible ability. Even the patriarch can't do this, right?" The elder of the Divine Spirit clan was stunned. His cultivation was very low, but in the blink of an eye, he became an upper-level heavenly venerable. It was as easy as drinking water. By the way, what about the patriarch? Yi Tianyun was puzzled. The patriarch. He died in battle. In order to seal the evil spirits, he sacrificed himself. Fortunately, all the preparations were done before, leaving behind the 3 realms. The elder of the Divine Spirit clan sighed, "The evil spirits are too scary. We must not let them see the light of day again, otherwise, all divine realms will suffer, and it will be an absolute disaster. The evil spirits don't seem to exist in this world, but in another world. I don't know where they came from, but they brought a group of evil spirits. They devour everything." Chapter 1601. The outside world, what's going on? Yi Tianyun was very suspicious about this. Wasn't it just divided into the inner divine realm and the outer divine realm? Yes, the patriarch had investigated it before and discovered that there really was an outside world. However, it has already been isolated. A special barrier has appeared, and there is no way to go out, and there is no way to enter. It should have been repaired automatically. The Divine Spirit Race Elder said in a deep voice, "Perhaps the evil spirits came from the outside world." According to the records, there was no evil spirit race in the past, but suddenly, a group of evil spirit race appeared and started a crazy massacre. This evil spirits is the patriarch of the evil spirit race. He was the one who led the evil spirit race in. After Yi Tianyun heard this, he was extremely shocked. This seemed to have overturned his understanding. He had originally thought that the evil spirit race existed here, but he never thought that they did not exist in this world, but belonged to an invading race. In this way, everything made sense. The reason why the evil spirit race devoured everything, regardless of race, was mainly because they were not people of this world. They came in to rule this world. There's such a thing. Yi Tianyun's expression was solemn. If that was the case, the evil spirit race would really be completely eradicated. Yes, so we absolutely cannot let the evil spirits descend again. If they descend again, I'm afraid that all life will be enslaved by them. In fact, the protective barrier will even be broken. The Divine Spirit Race Elder said in a deep voice, "This requires us to unite and deal with it together. Otherwise, it will be difficult to succeed, and the destruction it will bring will be unprecedented." However, it seemed to be very difficult for a group of forces to unite. Unless there was an unprecedented crisis, it was impossible for them to join hands. All of them lived for their own interests, so why should they cooperate? This is indeed a problem. Yi Tianyun's expression was solemn. It had to be said that the Guardians were rather pitiful. If they could not get support and were attacked instead, it would be truly chilling. But I believe that we will unite. This was the case back then. The Divine Spirit Race Elder's eyes flickered as he recalled the situation back then. If they hadn't stood up, they would have really fallen. They were indeed very united back then. In times of crisis, they were still very united. Yi Tianyun nodded. He had seen those scenes during the trial of light. Most of the divine domains joined hands to resist the evil spirit race and finally successfully sealed the evil spirits. They might not have been able to completely annihilate them, but they had shown him the power of unity. They could defeat the experts of the other side. The Divine Spirit Clan's elder turned his gaze to the evil spirit puppet and smiled faintly. Then try to transfer the evil god's pearl over. If he could completely control it, it would mean that he had succeeded, and it would be a very great feat. After all, it's a puppet, unlike us who have to use our bodies to suppress it. If we can use puppets to suppress them, then we can really reduce a lot of unnecessary sacrifices. The elder of the divine spirit race did not reject this method. If there were no problems, he would approve of this method. He, who had been tortured all this time, knew what it felt like. If he could use puppets to suppress them, then it would undoubtedly be very easy. There won't be any problems. I can completely control this puppet and do whatever I want. It will also absorb energy to suppress the evil spirit's pearl, Yi Tianyun said in a deep voice. Okay, then let's try it now. After all, it's an evil spirit puppet. No matter what, it has the same origin as the evil spirits, so it's still a bit dangerous. He might have been able to relax with other puppets, but the evil spirit puppet was different. However, he still planned to try. If it didn't work, he could let Yi Tianyun suppress it. Then, the elder of the divine spirit race quickly formed hand seals, and the evil spirit's pearl in his chest started to be pulled out bit by bit. Blood kept flowing from where it was pulled out. The evil spirit's pearl seemed to have grown on it, so it was not easy to pull it out. The elder of the divine spirit race did not make a sound. It was as if he did not feel any pain as he pulled it out bit by bit. Finally, when it was completely pulled out, he fiercely slapped the evil spirit puppet's chest. Up. After the elder of the divine spirit race slapped it in, he quickly formed hand seals and formed various arrays on it. Soon, the evil spirit's pearl was firmly stuck on it. As soon as the evil spirit's pearl was stuck on it, black lines immediately appeared and covered the entire puppet. It was as if the evil spirit's pearl had taken root in it. After the elder of the divine spirit race was hit, his body swayed and fell to the side. However, Yi Tianyun reacted quickly and quickly supported him. At the same time, he started to heal the elder of the divine spirit race. The big hole in his chest started to heal bit by bit. Child, thank you. I don't need this anymore. The elder of the divine spirit race revealed a gentle smile and patted his arm. He smiled and said, I know that I'm already at the end of my rope. Even if I heal this injury, it's useless. His blood energy was completely depleted, and there was only a little bit left. Moreover, his soul was injured, which was simply one disaster after another. Even Yi Tianyun couldn't save him. No matter what kind of treatment he received, he couldn't recover. His blood energy could be replenished, but the damage to his soul was too serious. The fact that he was still alive was just hanging by a thread. Thank you for your sacrifice. In the end, Yi Tianyun could only say that. The future depends on you. The elder of the divine spirit race smiled, then closed his eyes and slept forever. Even if Yi Tianyun had a life that could be saved, he couldn't save the elder of the divine spirit race. This kind of life could only be saved from its current state, which meant that even if it was saved, its blood energy would still be depleted, and its soul would be missing. If it was saved directly, it would be impossible for everything to return to its young state. This item wasn't that invincible. After the elder of the divine spirit race left peacefully, Yi Tianyun turned his head to look at the evil spirit puppet. At this moment, the evil spirit's pearl in the evil spirit puppet's chest started to absorb its blood essence bit by bit. It wanted to suck it dry completely. As expected, as a guardian, its blood essence would naturally be sucked out bit by bit. This evil spirit's pearl was really evil. Heh! It's the energy of my race. The evil spirits was ecstatic. He didn't expect that it would be the body of his race. This way, the absorption rate would undoubtedly be higher. However, when he wanted to continue absorbing, he found that the blood essence had been cut off, and he couldn't absorb it at all. Only the energy that was suppressing him was still there. He could only absorb this energy that was suppressing him. What's going on? I can't absorb the blood essence. This is impossible. The evil spirits were dumbfounded. Logically speaking, no cultivator could cut off the blood essence in their body. They had to circulate it throughout their body, and they couldn't cut it off. Chapter 1602. The evil spirits immediately panicked. He thought that he could recover faster by absorbing the essence of his own clan. He even thought that he had been saved by his own people. But when he could not absorb the essence blood, he was dumbfounded. If he could not absorb it, he could not recover quickly. It was basically the same as cutting off food. But he could feel that he was not in a formation. Instead, he was sealed through his body. The surging energy was used as a sealing force to seal him. Under normal circumstances, the essence blood could not be cut off. It was like a cultivator. How could he live without blood in his body? Even if he was beaten to death and only his head was left, there would still be essence blood in his head. It was just that the essence blood was gathered in his head. That was why he was not completely destroyed. Without the essence blood, he was like a piece of wood. He could not absorb it at all. You can't absorb it, right? Yi Tianyun's voice sounded beside him. The evil spirits could see what was happening outside through the evil spirit's pearl. He immediately saw Yi Tianyun's familiar face. It's you. The evil spirits was furious. But no matter how angry he was, it was useless. Being sealed in this body, he could not do anything even if he wanted to. That's right. It's me. Just stay in this puppet. I will make good use of you. Yi Tianyun smiled. He did not expect the effect of the evil spirit puppet to be so good. A normal cultivator could not cut off the essence blood supply. But the evil spirit puppet was not a normal cultivator. It was a puppet. A puppet did not have life. It only felt like it was alive, but in reality, it did not have any signs of life. Therefore, cutting off the essence blood supply was not a problem at all. He could control it however he wanted. It was a perfect sealing effect. He did not expect that the problem that had been troubling him would be solved just like that. As long as he used the evil spirit puppet, even if he had to seal a few more evil spirit's pearls, it would not be a problem. If he could not seal one evil spirit puppet, he could just create a second one. It was not difficult at all. The key was that the evil spirits were sealed by his own clan's puppet. It was a great irony. Puppet, what's going on? The evil spirits shouted. This meant that it would be difficult for him to escape. He would be trapped for a long time, and he would not be able to possess the divine spirit race's elder. There's no need for you to know, idiot. Yi Tianyun coldly chuckled and kept the sinister spirit puppet. He could not be bothered with him. He immediately incinerated the body of the divine spirit tribe's elder before scattering his ashes around the perimeter so that he could sleep in the ground forever. After completing this task, Yi Tianyun raised his head and looked ahead. There was still a tunnel in front of him. It seemed that the other side was the true destination. Perhaps the mission would be complete once they reached it. After passing through the passageway, what greeted them was still a pitch-black scene, rank 7 dark core. As expected, there was still an incomparably huge core of darkness in front of them. Endless power of darkness seeped into the ground, maintaining the three realms. The power of darkness was not the same as the power of evil. Only by using it correctly could one determine whether it was evil or not. Yi Tianyun walked in front of the dark core and began to absorb it to strengthen the dark planet in his body. He wanted to improve his strength in all aspects. Therefore, he would not let go of such a high-grade core. After absorbing for a while, the dark planet in his body also became rank 7. He felt that he had improved again. The operation of the three realms is perfect. Yi Tianyun took a deep breath, stood up, and continued to walk towards the end. When he stepped into the final passageway, he returned to the boundary. At the same time, the artifact spirit's voice rang in his ears. Congratulations, you have successfully passed the dark trial. You have become the true master of the three realms. The artifact spirit was a little excited. The three realms would be able to display its true strength if it had a master again. I have finally completed all the tests. Yi Tianyun felt that it was extremely difficult. Ding. Successfully completed the special mission past the dark trial. Received the title Master of the Underworld. Ding. Successfully completed all the missions of the 3 realms. Become the Master of the 3 realms. Master of the 3 realms, can control everything here. You are the true Master of the 3 realms. There were no additional rewards. He could only obtain the right to control the 3 realms. But for him, it was enough. The main reward this time was the evil spirit's orb. Because it was owned by the evil spirit puppet, he could use the evil spirit puppet to try it the next time. He wondered what it would be like to mobilize the power of the evil spirits. Yes, you have completed all the tests. You can now enter the previous master's room. The artifact spirit bowed to him respectfully. At the same time, he waved his hand. A staircase appeared in the void and landed in front of Yi Tianyun. In front of him was a staircase that led to a void passageway. There was no doubt that the void passageway in front of him was similar to a small world. Yi Tianyun did not hesitate. He lifted his feet and walked up. Perhaps this would allow him to understand the details. The elder of the Divine Spirit clan did not say anything to him before he died. There were many things that he did not understand. Now that he could enter the previous master's room, he could naturally understand it. After walking up and stepping into the void passageway, his eyes lit up. He found himself in an ordinary small room. There were many bookshelves here, and there were many different martial arts manuals on them. Every martial art manual was of a high grade, and there were all kinds of divine seals in them. These were all a large amount of wealth. There were so many precious martial arts books and divine seals left behind by the patriarch of the Divine Spirit clan. It should be said that he was the patriarch of the Divine Spirit clan and the most glorious member of the Divine Spirit clan. Apart from this, there was not much else here. There was no divine sense left behind. It was simply filled with all kinds of books. There was also a pearl at the very front. It looked like there was energy flowing inside. Yi Tianyun recognized at a glance that this was a memory pearl. It should be the memory left behind by the patriarch of the Divine Spirit clan. He walked over and picked up the memory pearl. He started to read the memories inside. Soon, a wave of memories flowed into his head, allowing him to know many things. So it's like this: there were no overly complicated memories, nor was there any divine will. It was just very fast, allowing him to understand everything at the moment. He now knew everything that he did not know before. The content was very simple. When the patriarch of the Divine Spirit clan was fighting against the evil spirits, he discovered the outside world and saw the crack in the barrier that had automatically repaired itself. Chapter 1603. The overall content was very simple, and it was obvious that he had left these memories in a hurry. They were mostly warnings. It was very likely that he had hurriedly prepared all of this before the battle and immediately accepted the battle. As for the formation, it had been set up a long time ago. From the start, he had planned to seal the evil spirits. The evil spirits were too strong, and they could not be killed. After the God Spirit race's patriarch researched and found that he could not kill the evil spirits, he could only choose to seal them. This was because with their current strength, they could not kill the evil spirits' souls. The evil spirits' souls were abnormally strong, unprecedentedly strong, and terrifyingly tenacious. As long as the souls were not destroyed, the evil spirits could not be killed. They could only choose to cut them into pieces and seal them. This was the most helpless method. They could only hope that an expert would appear in the future and kill the evil spirits. However, the most powerful God Spirit race's patriarch had died just like that. In order to seal him, he had paid the price of his life. The overall introduction was relatively simple. The 3 realms existed to seal the head of the evil god, and at the same time, to resist the evil spirit race. Once all of its power exploded out, it would have an extremely strong power that could destroy everything. Back then, the God Spirit race's patriarch had used the 3 realms' power and many experts to suppress the evil spirits. This was enough to show how terrifying the 3 realms were. The 3 cores were interlocked, and the combined power was very terrifying. After being sealed, the 3 realms were immediately controlled and flew to Fan Yu to find an area to hide. Staying in the divine realm was quite dangerous. After all, there were many experts, and they would definitely be discovered. Fan Yu was different. Sky gods and sky venerables would not go to Fan Yu for no reason, so it was much safer. The evil spirit race was the same. Sky venerables and above definitely would not come over. As for Lord Tai Bai Jinxing and the Lord of Heaven, they were not worried. It was impossible for them to discover the secret here, so it was relatively safe. However, the problem it brought was also quite serious. It was very difficult for the next guardian to appear, causing the god spirit race's patriarch to be completely sucked dry and unable to recover. There was no way to have the best of both worlds, so he could only choose to sacrifice one side. As for the cultivators above, the patriarch of the Divine Spirit clan didn't make any special arrangements. He just randomly moved a group of cultivators over and placed them there to cultivate. There was no time for him to choose a genius or a genius to be placed here. However, with the existence of the three cores, the energy emitted from time to time could slightly strengthen them. All in all, everything was just a cover. There weren't any special arrangements. In the first place, the three realms were used to seal the evil spirits, not to train disciples. That's all I've told you. Yi Tianyun felt that it wasn't detailed enough, but it had more or less explained who left behind the three realms. It turned out that this was the planet where the evil spirits were sealed. The cultivators on the planet were not specially selected. Everything was random. Even though it was random, the god spirit race's patriarch still hoped that some experts would successfully break through and discover the secrets of this place. After all, the god spirit clan's patriarch had opened a small opening in the core area to let some energy leak out, forming a special environment. It was still much worse than the divine domain, but what it really changed was one's physique. Because Yi Tianyun was surprised to find that this could change one's physique, making it easier for them to form multiple planets. This way, he could form multiple planets thanks to the nourishment of this place. Of course, with the system strengthening, it could increase the success rate of forming planets. This way, even without any ancient bloodline, he could still form multiple planets. Then, Yi Tianyun walked around and looked at the records. Although there weren't many memories, there were many books that recorded things, such as the appearance of the evil spirit race and the situation of the evil spirit race. A lot of content was recorded here. Yi Tianyun looked around and had a general idea. The evil spirits had come here to absorb a lot of ancient bloodlines, causing them to be on the verge of extinction. The evil spirits devoured crazily because they wanted to break through to the god the Arch Realm. He knew this before. As the main culprit, they were really ruthless. In addition, there were many martial arts, all of which were heavenly venerable level martial art. With these martial arts, it was enough to cultivate to the heavenly god realm. As for breaking through to the god the Arch Realm, there were also some insights here. But in the end, the god spirit clan's patriarch didn't succeed in breaking through to the god the Arch Realm before facing the fierce attack of the evil spirits. Yi Tianyun flipped through the insights. There were many insights recorded in it. The god spirit clan's patriarch had tried many methods to break through. For example, forming multiple planets and strengthening one's physique to break through the final shackles. But the god spirit clan's patriarch found that he had been restricted to a limit and couldn't break through. It was as if he was trapped. He felt like he was stuck and couldn't break through, so he kept trying all kinds of abilities. The god spirit clan's patriarch is indeed a 10 refinement Earthlord. Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up. Many cultivators had successfully broken through to the 10 refinement Earthlord realm, but they were all devoured. After reading for a while, he left this place. There was nothing else to see here. As for those martial arts, he will slowly cultivate them. When the 3 realms divine realm is a little more mature, I will teach these martial arts. Yi Tianyun will not teach these martial arts for the time being. The grade is too high, they can't cultivate it with their cultivation. Back on the ground, he immediately went to find Feng Qiuzun, and at the same time, he also pulled Shi Xueyun. Yes, he even pulled Shi Xueyun. Shi Xueyun was the palace master of Jade Palace before, so she has a lot of ideas in this area. After a brief explanation, Shi Xueyun immediately knew what was going on. You want me to form an alliance? Shi Xueyun was a little shocked after knowing. She is now at the level of the Lord of Heaven, and she still needs to negotiate with those heavenly masters and heavenly gods. Isn't this a little too much pressure? It should be said, will those powerful cultivators be willing to communicate with a cultivator whose cultivation is so much lower than them? The gap in cultivation is too big, and the status is not equal. It is easy to have problems. Yes, you don't need to worry about anything. I am here. Yi Tianyun smiled lightly and said, and don't always think too badly of yourself. Cultivation may be important, but sometimes it is not the point. Besides, with me behind you, no one dares to ignore you. Shi Xueyun's heart warmed, and immediately smiled slightly and said, well, since you think I can do it, then I will go with you. Chapter 1604. Yi Tianyun called for Feng Qiuzun, and brought Shi Xueyun directly to the Xiutian god domain to meet with the great Devas. You found Feng Qiuzun so quickly? The great Devas was slightly surprised. Feng Qiuzun had always been elusive. She could be helping cultivators somewhere, or she could be cultivating in seclusion somewhere. Basically, she did not have a fixed location. Under such circumstances, it was rather difficult to find her. Who knew that Yi Tianyun would find her so quickly, and it did not take long. Actually, Feng Qiuzun has always been in the god domain of the three realms. Or rather, she has long joined my force. Yi Tianyun smiled, and did not hide this matter. He was too lazy to say anything else. There was no need to hide anything from his master. He would find out in the future anyway. The great Devas's heart shook. He did not expect that Feng Qiuzun, who was so difficult to deal with, would be taken care of just like that. The great Devas looked at Feng Qiuzun. She smiled and nodded, acknowledging that she had already joined the god domain of the three realms. So secretive, suddenly giving me such a huge piece of news. No wonder you were so confident that you were going to find Feng Qiuzun. The great Devas smiled, then looked at Shi Xueyun beside Yi Tianyun, and asked curiously, your Dao companion is going too? Yes, Xueyun is going with me. Yi Tianyun smiled faintly. This time, it is not only the Xiutian God Domain Alliance. Our God Domain of the Three Realms also wants to form an alliance with Yulong God Domain. So it is like that, but it is slightly difficult. The great Devas was more straightforward. His thoughts were the same as Feng Qiuzun. In a situation where their positions were not equal, forming an alliance was too difficult. Although Yi Tianyun was very capable, he was just one person. Unless his cultivation was really heaven-defying, reaching middle-level heavenly god, or upper-level heavenly god, only then would he be qualified. That's not a problem. You'll know when the time comes. Yi Tianyun smiled and did not reveal his secret. Under the guidance of the great Devas, they quickly made their way to Yulong's god domain. Yulong's divine domain is in front of us. The great Devas controlled the spirit ship, preparing to warn them once they arrived. At this moment, Shi Xueyun was a little nervous. Even as the manager of the god realm of the three realms, she would still feel nervous in the face of such a colossus. After all, Yulong's god domain was simply too powerful. Especially after Yi Tianyun's explanation, he knew what kind of existence she was about to negotiate an alliance with. In the god realm of the three realms, excluding those who joined later, the highest cultivation level was only at the level of the Lord of Heaven. Even those who joined later were only divine monarchs, the highest being heavenly venerables. Yulong, on the other hand, had many heavenly deities in his god domain. One could well imagine the pressure. The difference in their levels made her feel uncertain. As she was feeling nervous, she felt a warmth in her hand, causing her to look up and see Yi Tianyun smile. Don't be nervous, I'm here. Yi Tianyun held her hand tightly, indicating that she shouldn't be nervous. Shi Xueyun nodded. Although the nervousness in her heart had decreased a little, she was still a little nervous. Soon, they arrived at the region of Yulong's god domain. As far as the eye could see, they could see a bright moon hanging high in the void. In truth, this wasn't a bright moon, but rows of planets that formed a crescent moon that emitted a faint light. Thus, from a distance, it looked like a crescent moon hanging in the void. How beautiful! Yi Tianyun was shocked by this scene. The other influences were scattered, but here, they were stacked on top of each other, forming a crescent moon. This crescent moon wasn't casually arranged. It was clearly a great array formation that could use the power of many planets to erupt together, forming a fatal attack. Shi Xueyun was also shocked. She didn't think that there would be such a way of arranging things. It is indeed beautiful. I don't know how many times I've seen it, but I'm still mesmerized by it. The great Devas shook his head and sighed. As Supremacy Feng Qiu saw this, her eyes turned red. This was the place she had stayed in before. However, when they found out that her parents might be demons, it was impossible for her influence to be implicated, so she could only choose to leave. Now that she had returned and recalled the past, she couldn't help but feel moved. As they were about to approach, 4 female guards immediately appeared in front of them. Their cultivations were all at the Empyrean level. "Who are you?" they shouted, indicating for them to stop. The great Devas led them out of the spirit ship. When they saw who it was, they cried out in surprise, "Elder Feng Qiu, long time no see, but I am no longer your elder, so don't call me that." Supremacy Feng Qiu sighed. "You will always be our elder. Even if you leave here, you will still be our elder. After all, outside, you have always taken good care of all our disciples. No matter what happens, you will always come to our rescue." Their eyes were red as they said, "Elder Feng Qiu, you should come back. The Great Elder and the Region Lord are all worried about you." Supremacy Feng Qiu's cultivation might not be particularly amazing, but she was indeed a super genius. Thus, she had become an elder-level existence. However, to become an elder wasn't because she was too talented, but because of her kind heart and willingness to help others. This caused her prestige to rise. Yi Tianyun looked at Supremacy Feng Qiu. He knew that they would encounter such a thing. What would happen if Supremacy Feng Qiu went back? It had to be known that she had joined the divine realm of the 3 realms. If she left, that wouldn't be a good thing. There is no need to say that. Once I have decided on something, I will not go back on my word. This time, I came back because I have something to discuss with the Region Lord. I wonder if I can bring them in? Supremacy Feng Qiu pointed at Yi Tianyun and the others. Of course you can. Elder Feng Qiu, bring them in at will. They warmly moved aside and gestured for them to come in. The great Devas shook his head. Truly, people were treated differently. When others came in, their treatment was terrible, and they refused to leave. Now that Supremacy Feng Qiu had brought them in, it was even easier. I already said not to call me elder. Supremacy Feng Qiu was extremely helpless. She was no longer an elder. If they still called her elder, she would feel ashamed. Understood, Elder Feng Qiu. They smiled and said. They looked at each other. When Supremacy Feng Qiu returned, she would definitely not let her leave. She would stay and not let her leave. Little did they know that Supremacy Feng Qiu had already joined the divine realm of the 3 realms. She just did not announce it. Supremacy Feng Qiu sighed. She was too lazy to correct them. Call her whatever she wanted. Chapter 1605. After entering, Yi Tianyun was even more shocked by the scene inside. Silver light sprinkled from the top, it really looks like the moon is sprinkling down from the sky. In truth, it came from these planets, their cores were all light cores, that was why they had such a special effect. When this light shone down, it was like sunlight, giving them a warm feeling. But it was not as glaring as sunlight, it was as gentle as moonlight. Yi Tianyun knew that there was a hidden danger inside. If the formation was activated, the area he was in would become the attack range. So many light cores, it's really a big deal. Just from this, it was clear why Yuelong's god domain was so strong. Under Feng Qiuzun's lead, they flew directly to the Elder Hall. Coincidentally, it was the planet in the middle of the crescent moon planet. This was equivalent to the eye of Yuelong's god domain. Naturally it would be the Elder Hall. The Elder Hall that was originally heavily guarded was immediately opened for them. It was mainly because Feng Qiuzun led the way that everything went so smoothly. Elder Feng Qiu, you're back. Elder Feng Qiu, you've become more beautiful. Elder Feng Qiu. Along the way, the surrounding cultivators all greeted her respectfully, causing Feng Qiuzun to be touched and embarrassed. She was very touched, but also very embarrassed. She had already left this place, and they still called her that. She was really ashamed. Yi Tianyun, who was following behind, shook his head, but he knew that Feng Qiuzun would not leave her god domain. There was only one special possibility, and that was to restore Yuelong's position in the god domain, but she would still be a person of the Three Realms God domain. This was still acceptable to Yi Tianyun. As long as she was a person of the Three Realms God domain, it was enough. Along the way, all that Yi Tianyun saw were female cultivators. He really did not see a single male cultivator. This was really like what the outside world said. There was really not a single male cultivator here. He swept his gaze across. Their talent was not bad. There were also those with average talent, but they all enjoyed equal treatment here. If he wanted to obtain more benefits, he would have to rely on his own hard work. When she arrived at the elders' hall, a few elders immediately came out to welcome her and said with a smile, "Elder Fengqiu, you're back?" These elders were all heavenly gods. They were still polite to Fengqiu Zun, and did not act high and mighty just because their cultivation base was lower than theirs. Venerable Fengqiu's reputation was not just for show, and she was indeed a genius. To be able to cultivate to this level in 1,000 years, after a period of time, it would not be a problem for her to surpass them. "Yes, I have something to tell Domain Lord." Venerable Fengqiu was already numb. Whatever they called him, they could call him that. The Domain Lord is currently dealing with some matters. If there's anything, you can look for the Great Elder. The Great Elder is inside. You can go over now. When they looked at Yi Tianyun, they immediately knew what was going on. It was definitely this group of people who had come to find the Domain Master. But since it was brought by Fengqiu Zun, they did not say anything, and were instead thinking about how to pull Fengqiu Zun back. Ever since Fengqiu Zun left, she had not returned. Now that she had come back, and it was for someone else, it was enough to prove that the group of people she had brought were very important to Fengqiu Zun. Otherwise, why would she be willing to come back? This caused them to guess the reason behind it. What exactly was going on? Following them, they went straight to find the Great Elder. The Great Elder of Yulong Divine Realm was inside handling affairs. When they entered, she raised her head and looked over. "Hey, Elder Fengqiu?" Her beautiful eyes lit up, revealing a look of pleasant surprise. The Great Elder in front of her was extremely beautiful. She seemed to be addressed as Great Elder, and looked no different from a young woman in her 20s. But her cultivation base was extremely domineering, reaching the level of an intermediate heavenly god. Great Elder. When Fengqiu Zun saw the Great Elder, she looked very awkward. "It's good that you're back, it's good that you're back. Don't leave this time, come back to Yulong Divine Realm. Everyone misses you, and is looking forward to your return." Heavenly Goddess Ling Bing took her small hand and said gently. Yi Tianyun looked on from the side, and felt that Fengqiu Zun was returning home, not to some force. "Let's not talk about this for now." Fengqiu Zun shook her head, not wanting to talk about this for now. She then turned to look at Yi Tianyun and the others and said, "I came back this time to bring them here to discuss some things with you." "Oh, what do you want?" When Heavenly Goddess Ling Bing turned to look at them, her expression immediately became cold, and her smile was nowhere to be seen. "Heavenly Goddess Ling Bing, I am an elder of the Heavenly Cultivation Divine Realm, and I came here to form an alliance with you." The great Devas stood up and said, "Sorry, we don't plan to form an alliance with any divine realm. If that's all, you can leave now." Heavenly Goddess Ling Bing was very unreasonable, and she immediately refused without even thinking. This made the great Devas feel extremely awkward. They had just arrived, and they were already leaving? Fengqiu Zun felt very helpless at the side. This was not something she could control, so she could only watch from the side. Don't tell me you don't want to think about it. You should know the news, right? Our Heavenly Cultivation Divine Realm has just been attacked by the evil spirit race, and they want to snatch the evil spirit's pearl. We are the guardians, and I heard that your Yulong Divine Realm is also a guardian. The great Devas said in a deep voice, "In this way, if we form an alliance, it will undoubtedly be easier to protect this evil spirit's pearl." The fact that the Heaven Cultivation God Realm had been attacked was already known to everyone. How could no one know about such a big thing? Many cultivators squatted at the side and watched, spreading the news about this place. As for why they were fighting, they were not very clear. However, the great Devas confessed, mainly because this was no longer a secret, so he might as well say it out. Only then would he be more sincere. "We are not guardians, so you can't speak carelessly." Heavenly Goddess Ling Bing said coldly, I believe the great Devas knows what the consequences will be. If it was announced, they would definitely be targeted by the evil spirit race immediately. Heavenly Goddess Ling Bing did not want Yulong Divine Realm to be targeted. Regardless of whether you are or not, we control the evil spirit's pearl. If it is taken away by the evil spirit race, it is very likely that the evil spirits will revive. When the time comes, do you think you can escape responsibility? The great Devas said sternly, this way, we have to form an alliance even more. If you choose to join the evil spirit race, then pretend that I didn't say anything. Chapter 1606. It was normal for the great Devas to be infuriated. Even if he really didn't want to, he should have at least said it in a roundabout way. Such blunt words made him very displeased. As guardians, they had worked hard to protect the evil spirit's pearl in order to prevent other forces from being implicated, but they were treated with disdain. If the evil spirit's pearl was handed over to the evil spirit tribe, then after the evil spirit tribe resurrected the evil spirits, the entire Yulong God realm would be destroyed. This was like a hero coming to a small village to help fend off demonic beasts. One day, he was very hungry and wanted to ask for some food, but the villagers rejected him harshly, saying that if he wanted food, he had to find it himself. If he retorted, he should at least provide some food in order to protect the village, right? Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to protect it. However, the villagers retorted, saying that he was doing it voluntarily and that it had nothing to do with them. There were quite a lot of cruel truths like this. Now that this was how the great Devas treated them, how could they not be infuriated? No matter what, they had contributed to protecting the God realm, yet they were rejected so quickly. It was difficult for them to feel good even if they wanted to. That's your business, it has nothing to do with us. Heavenly Goddess Ling Bing retorted coldly. She wasn't going to fall for this. She felt like if the evil spirits had the ability to attack them, they would just have to defend them. The great Devas was instantly enraged. No matter how much the Yulong God realm discriminated against male cultivators, they shouldn't be so unreasonable. Grand Elder, you are too impulsive. At this moment, an ethereal voice sounded from behind them. Following that, an exquisitely beautiful woman walked in leisurely from outside. Every step she took seemed to blend into this world, as if she had become one with it. More importantly, a faint light emanated from her body, making her look like a goddess of light. She was the Region Lord of Yulong Celestial Realm, also known as the Region Lord of Yulong Celestial Realm. Her cultivation had reached the late-stage Middle Celestial God Realm, and she was considered a relatively powerful existence. Even though she was a female cultivator, she was still ahead of many male cultivators. Ruler. Heavenly Goddess Ling Bing and the others said respectfully. Greetings, Region Lord Yulong. The great Devas and Yi Tianyun greeted respectfully. Region Lord Yulong nodded and came in front of the great Devas and said, the great elder is a bit prejudiced against your cultivation God realm, but it's not because you are the protectors. Region Lord Yulong also stated in a very straightforward manner why Empyrean God Towering Ice had done this. Are you prejudiced against our cultivation God realm? The great Devas was stunned. He looked Heavenly Goddess Ling Bing up and down, completely at a loss for words. Could it be that the heavenly cultivation God realm had offended her? The great Devas has left the heavenly cultivation realm for a long time, right? It's normal that you don't know. Region Leader Yulong looked at Empyrean Goddess Towering Ice and smiled calmly. Grand Elder, the great Devas doesn't know anything about this. There's no need for you to target him, is there? Ph, we're both from the heavenly cultivation God realm. There's no difference. Empyrean Goddess Towering Ice was still very blunt. This made the great Devas feel a bit awkward. There were many things that he didn't know. If the heavenly cultivation God realm did something bad to her, then it really wasn't because Empyrean Goddess Towering Ice was too harsh with her words. I wonder what the heavenly cultivation God realm did to Empyrean Goddess Towering Ice? I'm deeply sorry. I hope Empyrean Goddess Towering Ice won't take it to heart. The great Devas could only choose to bow his head. Since this was a matter of the heavenly cultivation God realm, he could only apologize. Although he didn't know what the situation was, and it wasn't his doing, he was now the representative, so he was the one to apologize. Seeing the great Devas apologize, Empyrean goddess Towering Ice's face relaxed a little. Her tone was also not as cold as before. Forget it. It's normal that the great Devas doesn't know. After all, you've left the heavenly cultivation god realm for a long time. Actually, it's nothing much. I was originally a deacon in the heavenly cultivation god realm, but I was forced into a marriage alliance in the end. As you can see, I've already joined the Yulong god realm. The great Devas wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. He didn't expect such an astonishing prodigy to be forced to leave because of something like this. He had to admit that the elders of the heavenly cultivation god realm must have been kicked in the head by a donkey. No wonder Empyrean goddess Towering Ice was so against forming an alliance. Just based on this matter alone, how could they form an alliance? It was already good enough that they didn't beat him up, but they still wanted to form an alliance. I really didn't know about this. I'm very sorry. The great Devas smiled awkwardly. This is our fault, and it's also the fault of those elders. Now that the environment has improved greatly, this kind of situation won't happen again. If he was here, this kind of thing definitely wouldn't happen. Using a woman to form an marriage alliance. However, this was indeed a common method. However, this could easily lead to people thinking that he was a commodity to be traded, and his favorable impression of him would immediately disappear. Empyrean goddess Towering Ice snorted and didn't say anything else. At least her tone wasn't so cold, and the feeling of rejection was also much weaker. Alright, you're here to form an alliance, right? Region Lord Yulong smiled. Yes, we're here to form an alliance. We are the protectors of the evil spirit's pearl. I don't know if you are protectors, but if you are, then we should unite and resist the evil spirit's race together. The great Devas said in a deep voice, now that they're starting to counterattack, if our evil spirit's pearl is taken away, I'm afraid the entire god realm won't be able to live in peace. That's true. We've always heard about it, but we really don't know if you're protectors or not. Region Lord Yulong smiled. Now that we know, we should stand up and help. After all, we're protectors, and helping each other is something we should do. Region Lord Yulong said it straightforwardly. There was no need to hide this. Since the great Devas had already made it clear, there was no need to hide it. Usually, when they didn't know about the other party's situation, they would hide it a little. However, it was different now. After confirming the situation, there was no need to hide it. That's great. The great Devas was very excited. He didn't expect things to go so smoothly. He thought that the other party would make things difficult for them. Unexpectedly, Region Lord Yulong was very straightforward. However, the fact that we're protectors needs to be kept a secret. The alliance also needs to be kept a secret. When we're attacked, we'll play a key role. There weren't many people present, only 1 or 2 elders. They were all trusted aides and were quite trustworthy. Of course, that's what we're thinking. Similarly, if Yulong's god realm is attacked by the evil spirit race, we'll also immediately send reinforcement. The great Devas didn't ask for much. They just wanted to send reinforcements. Originally, an alliance wouldn't involve too many things. Both sides had their own ways of managing things, so it was impossible to arrange for people to come over. Alright, it's settled then. Region Lord Yulong nodded. While they were happily making their decision, Yi Tianyun interrupted. Region Lord Yulong, our god realm also wants to form an alliance with Yulong's god realm. Chapter 1607. Region Lord Yulong and the rest were surprised, even the great Devas was surprised. He never thought that Yi Tianyun would make such a request. Sovereign Feng Qiu already knew, so she wasn't surprised. The 3 realms celestial realm wants to ally with us. Region Lord Yulong was puzzled. If I remember correctly, it should be a new special celestial realm. Its overall strength seems to be rather average. If their overall strength was too low, then it would be far from an alliance, they would be protected. If Yulong's celestial realm was attacked, how could the 3 realms celestial realm help? They definitely wouldn't be able to help at all. On the contrary, if something happened to the 3 realms celestial realm, they would have to rush over to help. It was obviously not worth it at all. Yes, our overall strength is indeed average, but we are also protectors. Yi Tianyun smiled lightly. What? They were all shocked. This news was even more shocking. How did they suddenly become protectors? Tianyun, you are also a protector? The great Devas was incomparably shocked. When did his disciple become a protector? Why didn't he feel it? Yes, I just became a protector recently. I never thought I would become one. Yi Tianyun said honestly. Then, through the evil spirit puppet, he released a bit of the evil spirit's pearl's aura. The thick evil energy seemed to come from his body, causing their expressions to change. But soon, Yi Tianyun retracted the energy back into his body. I wonder, do I have the qualifications to ally with you? Yi Tianyun smiled slightly. Their expressions were solemn. They all knew what it meant to become a protector. This was especially true for the vast Empyrean god. His heart ached. His disciple becoming a protector meant that he would have to endure the pain and torture. He would also be continuously bleeding. It would affect his breakthrough. It could be said that it wasn't worth it. It was a huge loss. Looking closely at them, Heavenly God Yulang only passed it to Region Lord Shoutian when he couldn't hold on anymore, otherwise it would restrict Region Lord Shoutian's breakthrough. Although he could still cultivate, without the evil spirit's orb, the cultivation speed would undoubtedly be faster. The evil spirit's pearl did not have any effects that could assist in cultivation. It could only be used to unleash a powerful force that could kill all enemies. To put it bluntly, it was just a weapon. Naturally, it wouldn't have any auxiliary functions. The main point was that this weapon would also damage itself. But now that the evil spirit's orb was already in his body, it was undoubtedly fatal unless he immediately moved it out. However, transferring it would also injure his body once more. The heretic god's pearl was not something that could be easily moved. It required a lot of power to move it. Or rather, if he were to transfer it now, it would consume more of his body's energy. He had to slow down a little. Tianyun, transfer this evil spirit's orb to me. This is too harmful to you. The great Devas immediately transmitted his voice to Yi Tianyun, telling him to transfer it to him immediately. It wasn't that he was greedy for this thing, but he didn't want Yi Tianyun's potential to be suppressed. How could it not affect his cultivation if his blood essence was constantly being extracted? Master, it's fine. I can suppress this, and I can suppress it perfectly. Yi Tianyun smiled. He also planned to let him absorb the other evil spirit's orbs so that others wouldn't have to suffer this kind of pain. In the past, he didn't have a choice. Now, he had an additional choice. Suppress it perfectly? The great Devas was a little confused. He didn't know how this perfect suppression was possible. Just as they were about to continue transmitting their voices, Region Lord Yulong beside them said in a deep voice, "This is all the more reason why you can't form an alliance. You should say that you should merge your forces or replace the protectors. Your cultivation base is too low, and your forces are too weak. There's no way you can protect this evil spirit's orb." Her way of thinking was different from the great Devas. She didn't think that Yi Tianyun had the power to protect the evil spirit's orb. The power of a middle-level heavenly venerable was still a far cry from it. No matter what, one had to have the cultivation base of a heavenly god to be qualified to possess the evil spirit's orb. There's no need for Region Lord Yulong to worry about this. I believe that I can still protect the evil spirit's orb. Yi Tianyun said in a deep voice, "What we need to discuss now is the matter of the alliance. I admit that the current situation is still relatively weak. But I believe that we will catch up soon." On this point, Region Lord Yulong can ask Venerable Feng Qiu. Ask Elder Feng Qiu? Region Lord Yulong turned to look at Venerable Feng Qiu. Venerable Feng Qiu thought for a while before saying, "The overall situation of the Three Realms God Realm is on the weaker side. They are weaker than most of the God Realms. But their breakthroughs are extremely fast. From the looks of it, they will be able to catch up in a short period of time. In less than 1,000 years, they will be able to catch up to most of the fourth-grade God Realms." She had stayed in the Three Realms God Realm for a period of time. She was deeply impressed by the situation inside. Such rapid breakthroughs was truly unprecedented. Not only that, Heavenly Venerable Tianyun's Tao companion, who is also Snow Cloud Lord of Heaven, has a similar management philosophy as us. They both focus on the development of female cultivators, Venerable Feng Qiu's gaze turned to Shi Xueyun. Similar to our philosophy? Regent Lord Yuelong's beautiful eyes flickered. She was somewhat interested in this. Shi Xueyun quivered. She seemed to know why Yi Tianyun called her over. It was probably because of this that he called her over. Regent Lord Yulong, I am the Regent Empress of the Three Realms God Realm. I am mainly involved in the management of the Three Realms God Realm. Our advantage is, Shi Xueyun began to display the various advantages and potential of the Three Realms God Realm, as well as the factions that were continuously joining. Everything was displayed to prove that the Three Realms God Realm had endless potential. At the same time, it could protect the Evil Spirit's Pearl. She did not know what the Evil Spirit's Pearl was, but it was definitely something dangerous. Yi Tianyun did not tell her about the Evil Spirit's Pearl. After all, it was better not to say these things for the time being. He did not want to give her too much pressure. As Shi Xueyun spoke more and more, she began to release her unique confidence. In her view, there might be a gap between them and the other god realms, but it was definitely not too far. There would also be a day when they would catch up. After explaining the general situation, Shi Xueyun smiled and said, "This is our management philosophy. Even if we are not as good as the other god realms, we believe that one day, we will surpass the other god realms and become an extremely powerful fourth-grade god realm. In our view, talent is not the main point. Unity is the main point." Regent Lord Yulong squinted at her. How many years had it been since a Lord of Heaven came to talk about philosophy with her? Usually, other Lords of Heaven would feel their legs go weak when they saw her. How could they talk about philosophy with her? Yi Tianyun, who was at the side, had a smile on his face. This was the reason why he brought Shi Xueyun here. Chapter 1608. Shi Xueyun spoke a lot. The more she spoke, the more arrogant and confident she became. Her previous nervousness was swept away. The god realm of the Three Realms gave her a lot of confidence. Even if she knew about the situation of the other god realms, she still felt that the Three Realms god realm would surpass the other god realms one day. Not only did the Three Realms god realm have potential, but they also had a region lord, Yi Tianyun. With Yi Tianyun, they could replace most of the god realms. Every time Yi Tianyun brought back a lot of resources. With all kinds of resources, they would definitely break through quickly. Without Yi Tianyun, it would be hard to surpass the other god realms. They could only develop quickly and catch up with them. As for surpassing them, it would be difficult, but she believed that the Three Realms god realm would not have any problems. Well said. Your philosophy is more or less the same as ours. Regent Lord Yulong smiled. Based on your current situation, you do have the qualifications to form an alliance with us. Or rather, you are using your future power to form an alliance with us. With the current situation, the gap is still too big. This was what Yi Tianyun thought. Based on the current situation, the gap was huge. They were not on the same level at all. But he was using the future of the Three Realms God Realm as a bet. After all, the battle between God Emperors had not happened. The Evil Spirit's Pearl was not lost. The Three Realms God Realm still had a special barrier. There was no need to worry about safety. With these conditions, he had the confidence to form an alliance with Yulong God Realm. In the end, it was just a temporary alliance. They did not need Yulong God Realm's help. With the protection of the barrier, they did not need Yulong God Realm's help. After 1,000 years, they would definitely develop. At that time, they would have enough power to support them. To them, 1,000 years was a very short time. Without tens of thousands of years, there was no time to talk about. It had to be said that bringing Shi Xueyun over was the right choice. She was originally very against it. Now, Regent Lord Yulong had somewhat accepted it. That's for sure. I wonder if Domain Lord Yulong is willing to form an alliance with our deity realm of the Three Realms? Yi Tianyun smiled faintly. Regent Lord Yulong narrowed his eyes at him, not in a hurry to answer. Instead, he turned to look at Venerable Feng Qiu. If I am not wrong, Elder Feng Qiu has already joined the divine realm of the Three Realms. What? Heavenly Goddess Towering Ice was astonished. This was quite a shocking piece of news to her. This news was somewhat shocking. Everyone looked at Feng Qiu Zun, wanting to hear the truth from her. Feng Qiu Zun nodded, Now that she had been seen through, she could only nod and agree. She really did join. What kind of curse did you cast on Elder Feng Qiu? Heavenly Goddess Ling Bing glowered at Yi Tianyun with an enraged expression. They had spent a long time but were unable to pull Feng Qiuzun back, and now they had joined the Three Realms' divine domain, a god's domain that used its future as a wager. What a joke! This kind of flattery was truly impressive. It was a rather peculiar curse that pulled her over. Yi Tianyun said with a smile, Regent Lord Yulong, you still managed to see through this. After Elder Feng Qiu left, she basically wouldn't go to any faction, much less stay there for a long time. Now that she has stayed in your faction for a period of time, and has even seen the details of the situation, she can already see many things. Regent Lord Yuelong's observation skills were very sharp, and he immediately noticed. Feng Qiuzun, who had left the divine realm, was indeed unwilling to go to other factions, not even as a guest. Feng Qiuzun had rejected many people on this point, and not just one faction. On the other hand, there was only one possibility for someone to be willing to stay in a faction, and that was to join it. Regent Lord Yuelong's eyes are indeed like torches, you immediately saw through it. Yi Tianyun smiled, not feeling surprised. To be able to rope in Elder Feng Qiu, you must have some ability. Regent Lord Yulong smiled, since that's the case, then if you want to form an alliance with me, as long as you agree to one condition, I will immediately agree to form an alliance with you. What condition? Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes and said, bring Elder Feng Qiu back, and I will agree to form an alliance with you. Regent Lord Yulong said with a smile. This. Shi Shuiyun and the others were stunned. This condition was really targeted, to actually use Feng Qiuzun as a condition. Do you agree? As long as you agree, I will agree to form an alliance with you. Regent Lord Yulong smiled. Not only that, I will also give you a large amount of resources that you will definitely not be able to imagine. It will make it easier for you to break through. Such a huge temptation, it was really hard to resist. Just by giving up one person, they would have another backer, and also a lot of resources. It was really worth it. At this time, everyone looked at Yi Tianyun. They did not know how Yi Tianyun would answer. Would he agree or reject? Regent Lord Yulong thinks too highly of me. First of all, Feng Qiuzun is not a condition, nor is she an item. From the start, I have already told Feng Qiuzun that I will not restrict her freedom. If she is willing to come back, then come back. Yi Tianyun shrugged his shoulders and said, therefore, I cannot agree to this condition, nor can I agree to it. If you really only need Feng Qiuzun as a condition to form an alliance, then I am very sorry, this alliance will not be possible. Yi Tianyun was not angry, nor was he sad. He still maintained a faint smile on his face, looking extremely calm. This reply caused Feng Qiuzun to be stunned. Yi Tianyun had indeed replied like this before, to give her freedom, to do whatever she wanted. But when it came to the state of forming an alliance, he still directly rejected it without hesitation. This made her extremely moved, especially the previous sentence. It made her extremely moved. She was indeed not an item, and definitely not a condition. Regent Lord Yulong stared at him for a long while, then laughed. Seems like Elder Feng Qiu did not follow the wrong person. Just based on what you have said, I will form an alliance with your divine domain of the Three Realms. But I still hope that Elder Feng Qiu can come back often, or hold a position on both sides. Regent Lord Yulong greatly admired Yi Tianyun. It should be said that this reply made her extremely satisfied, and made her immediately agree to the alliance. If she casually gave up Feng Qiuzun, then without a doubt, she would not form an alliance. The reason was very simple. If she casually gave up Feng Qiuzun, then when Yuelong's divine domain was given up, it would also be extremely easy for her to betray them. Chapter 1609. This is up to Feng Qiuzun. If there is no problem, then I naturally have no problem with it. Yi Tianyun would not make things difficult for Feng Qiuzun. There would be no problem with both of them. Anyway, Feng Qiuzun was on his side, so there was no problem. Feng Qiuzun was startled, and immediately said to Yi Tianyun gratefully, "Thank you, Heavenly Cloud Domain Lord. This is your home. If I refuse, I am afraid that you will have more worries in your heart, which is not good for your cultivation." When Yi Tianyun came to Yulong Domain, he saw many things. She had always wanted to return to Yulong Domain, but there were many things that happened before, so she did not dare to return. Now it was different, all the truth had been found out, but she had already joined the Three Realms domain, so she should not be able to return. Yi Tianyun was very open-minded, allowing her to come and go as she pleased, without any restrictions. For Yi Tianyun, as long as she was willing to stay here, it was enough. He believed that Feng Qiuzun would often stay in the Three Realms domain. The matter of the alliance is over, now it is time to talk about the evil spirit's orb. Yulong Domain Lord's smile disappeared, and he looked at Yi Tianyun seriously. Although we agreed to the alliance, but the matter of the evil spirit's orb still cannot be put down. In my opinion, you will not be able to protect the evil spirit's orb. This was a very serious topic. He did not continue to talk about it before, mainly because of the matter of the alliance. He avoided it, but now he came back again. It is because my cultivation is low that I cannot protect the evil spirit's orb? Yi Tianyun laughed. On the surface, it seemed like it was true. Yes. I will say these words very bluntly, either you give it to us to protect, or you give it to the heavenly cultivation domain to protect, we have no objections. This is also for your own good. If you bring it with you, it will undoubtedly bring disaster to yourself, and at the same time, it will bring disaster to your own forces. Of course, even if you hand over the evil spirit's orb, we can still form an alliance. This will not change. Domain Lord Yulong gave two choices. He didn't force Yi Tianyun to hand over the evil spirit's orb to Yulong God Domain. He could hand it over to Xiao Tian God Domain, whom he could trust. What if I think I can protect the evil spirit's orb? Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes and said, then, can I protect the evil spirit's orb? In order to protect the evil spirit's orb, one must be at least at the level of a heavenly god or above. Anyone below this level will not be able to protect it well. Do you think you have the strength to do so now? Region Lord Yulong didn't know about Yi Tianyun's real situation. She could only see that Yi Tianyun's cultivation was only at the middle level of the heavenly venerable realm. I have the strength to do so. Yi Tianyun glanced at the great devas. The great devas naturally knew about Yi Tianyun's strength. Ordinary heavenly gods would be killed instantly. He believed that Yi Tianyun had the strength to protect the evil spirit's orb. It was just that it wasn't worth it for him to keep having his blood and qi sucked away. This isn't something that you can just say. Unless you can prove yourself, you must hand over the evil spirit's orb to someone else for safekeeping. This is a matter of great importance. We can't afford to be careless. It wasn't that Region Lord Yulong was too inflexible. Rather, the evil spirit's orb was related to the entire god domain. The evil spirits definitely couldn't be reborn. Although they hadn't experienced it themselves, they knew how terrifying the battle between god emperors was from the various destroyed god domains. Once they descended, the previous tragedy would happen again. I wonder how Region Lord Yulong would like me to prove myself. Yi Tianyun asked with a smile. Prove that you have the strength of a heavenly god. If you don't, then hand over the evil spirit's orb. It's that simple. Region Lord Yulong said sternly. It seems that Region Lord Yulong already has an idea. Then, please say it. Yi Tianyun gestured. You said that you have the strength to protect it. Then, I will send 3 heavenly gods to deal with you. As long as you can withstand their attacks, I will admit that you have the qualifications to be the protector. Otherwise, you will have to hand it over. You can give it to the great devas, or you can give it to me. It's up to you. Region Lord Yulong said. Also, you absolutely can't use the evil spirit's orb. If you use the evil spirit's orb, it will be your loss. That's not a problem. Yi Tianyun readily agreed. He knew that the Region Lord would send people to test him. This was the simplest and crudest way. There was no better way than this. They didn't know Yi Tianyun's situation, nor had they seen his fighting style. If one wanted to understand a person's overall strength, the most direct way was to fight. Then, Region Lord Yulong signaled Heavenly Goddess Towering Ice to make arrangements. Soon, she brought 3 female heavenly gods over. Each of them had sharp eyes. They were truly not inferior to men. Who said that female cultivators were weak? These heavenly gods were all extremely strong. Because this was a secret, there were only a few people in the hall. No one else was watching. Youngsters nowadays are getting more and more arrogant. Heavenly Goddess Towering Ice didn't want to call 3 people over. One heavenly god was enough. There was no need to call any more. Middle heavenly venerables against heavenly gods. What a joke. They would be instantly killed in one move. Greetings, Region Lord. The 3 of them were deacons. When they arrived, they greeted respectfully. Ian, you all already know the general situation. Which one of you will go first? Region Lord Yulong asked. She will go first. At this time, Yi Tianyun stood up. He pointed at one of the heavenly gods and said with a sharp gaze, I plan to fight with her first. I wonder if that's okay? Region Lord Yulong looked at him. She didn't expect that Yi Tianyun would stand up and suggest choosing a person. However, the result was similar. No matter who went first, Yi Tianyun would have to defeat all 3 of them. Only then would it be considered a success. Sure. Region Lord Yulong looked at the deacon and said, Deacon Bai Feng, I'll be counting on you to go first. Yes, Region Lord. Deacon Bai Feng stood up and looked at Yi Tianyun with an indifferent expression. Deacon Bai Feng had an ordinary appearance, but his cultivation was far from ordinary. Being able to cultivate to the heavenly god realm meant that he was definitely not trash. Please advise me. Deacon Bai Feng didn't say much. He waved his palm and attacked Yi Tianyun. There was a huge disparity in their cultivation, but Deacon Bai Feng didn't have any intention of giving way. Heavenly Goddess Towering Ice had already instructed him, so he naturally knew what to do. For such a serious matter, there was no need to give way. On the battlefield, this was a battle of life and death. The moment Deacon Bai Feng attacked, Yi Tianyun already made his move. Without any hesitation, a 5-dragon divine spear appeared in his hand. With an astonishing speed, he dashed forward and pierced through Deacon Bai Feng's body, pinning her to the ground. Instant kill. Direct instant kill. More importantly, this was a spar. Why was Yi Tianyun so ruthless? Chapter 1610. In front of everyone's shocked eyes, Yi Tianyun directly nailed Bai Feng Deacon to the ground. Bai Feng Deacon couldn't move at all. The spear had almost pierced through Administrator Bai Feng's head and killed her on the spot. This was a sparring match. Was there a need to be so cruel? You little brat, you are too ruthless. Get out of my way. Heavenly Goddess Towering Ice said angrily as she waved her palm at Yi Tianyun. Even Feng Qiu covered her mouth in shock. She didn't think that Yi Tianyun would be so cruel. Even if he wanted to prove himself, there was no need to be so cruel. All he needed to do was defeat his opponent. There was no need to be so cruel. Administrator Bai Feng's eyes were filled with shock. She had only just attacked, and she had already been defeated. What kind of speed was this? She had been too careless. Wait. Region Leader Yulong waved a hand and stopped Heavenly Goddess Towering Ice. She looked at Yi Tianyun with a cold expression. Region Leader, what's wrong? This is just a sparring match. There's no need to be so cruel. She was severely injured and almost killed Administrator Bai Feng. Heavenly Goddess Towering Ice was very anxious. Administrator Bai Feng was her subordinate. How could she not be worried? Look carefully. Region Leader Yuelong's eyes were sharp. She was much calmer. Heavenly Goddess Towering Ice's pupils contracted upon seeing this. The ground beneath Administrator Bai Feng's feet had been stained by a puddle of inky black blood. A sinister aura was emanating from this blood, and it was quite clear that this was not a normal bloodline. Instead, this was an extremely evil spirit tribe bloodline. Even though there were many races here, none of them were filled with evil energy. Only the bloodline of the evil spirit tribe was black and filled with evil energy. This meant that Administrator Bai Feng was a member of the evil spirit tribe. Everyone knew now. They had all fought against the evil spirit tribe before, so they knew what the bloodline of the evil spirit tribe was like. As one's cultivation base became higher and higher, it was very difficult to tell who was a member of the evil spirit tribe. Who would have thought that Administrator Bai Feng was a member of the evil spirit tribe? This was a very serious matter. When had the evil spirit tribe snuck in? I'm afraid your Deacon Bai Feng is being controlled, Yi Tianyun said indifferently. The moment he laid eyes on Bai Feng, His appraisal eyes immediately saw through it. Previously, he hadn't been able to tell that Empyrean god Towercloud was an evil spirit, mainly because his level was simply too high and his cultivation base was simply too high. Bai Feng's cultivation was relatively low, and he was not a true evil spirit race. It was just that his bloodline had been corroded, causing him to look like an evil spirit race. In essence, he was not from the evil spirit race, so he did not directly kill him. Instead, he only restrained Bai Feng. This heavenly goddess towering ice was astonished. She hadn't noticed this all this time, but Yi Tianyun had. Even region leader Yu Long was unable to detect Administrator Bai Feng's transformation, let alone heavenly goddess towering ice. This was their dereliction of duty, especially when they were seen through by Yi Tianyun. That was really embarrassing. I didn't expect Administrator Bai Feng to have already been controlled. Even his bloodline has been modified. It is indeed difficult to tell that he is being controlled. Region leader Yu Long was more rational. When she first saw this, she was indeed a little angry. Yi Tianyun was simply too ruthless. Even Administrator Bai Feng was not so ruthless, but Yi Tianyun was. However, when she saw the blood, she realized that she had misunderstood Yi Tianyun. Immediately afterward, they rushed over and sealed Administrator Bai Feng. At the same time, they prepared to expel the evil spirit bloodline from his body. Otherwise, he would not be able to break free. While they were sealing him, the others looked at each other. They didn't know how Yi Tianyun had seen through their plan. They recalled that Yi Tianyun had seen through Administrator Bai Feng from the very beginning and immediately stated that he wanted to fight Administrator Bai Feng first. Now, it seemed that he wanted to suppress Administrator Bai Feng. Region leader Tianyun, how did you know? Region leader Yu Long turned to look at Yi Tianyun after sealing Administrator Bai Feng. This is based on my intuition. I can feel an evil energy in her body. It is a very familiar evil energy, so I sealed her directly. Yi Tianyun said calmly, I have fought against the evil spirit race before, so I have some experience in this area. He wouldn't say that he had used his appraisal eye. If he just relied on intuition, it would be very easy for him to make a wrong judgment. They looked at each other. Even if it was just intuition, it was too accurate. Wasn't he afraid that it would be inaccurate? However, the truth was right in front of them, so they had to believe it. I see. I am sorry for what happened just now. Heavenly Goddess Ling Bing felt very embarrassed. She really wanted to slap him just now. If it weren't for region leader Yu Long, she would have slapped Yi Tianyun away. It would be even more embarrassing if they found out that they had hit the wrong person. That's okay. The point is that she should be your trusted aide. Your so-called evil spirit's pearl is a secret. They probably already know about it, and many of them are probably under their control. Yi Tianyun said in a low voice, to put it bluntly, it is very likely that many of your deacons or disciples have already been firmly under their control and have become their eyes. Unless they were very powerful, they would be easily seen through if they sent evil spirits over. For example, Heavenly God Torrential Cloud could evolve to a very perfect level, so that most people wouldn't be able to detect it. As for the others, they would definitely be easily discovered. Especially when they were recruited, they were seen through. However, it was undoubtedly much easier to capture and control them. Not only did they avoid detection, but they were also trusted aides, so it was even easier to obtain information. Hearing this, their expressions changed. Perhaps they really had noticed it a long time ago. They thought that they wouldn't be discovered because they had information about the evil spirit's pearl, but now it seemed that they had been discovered a long time ago. They just thought that they hadn't been discovered. Region leader Tianyun, can I ask you to help me investigate the situation here and find all of them? Region leader Yu Long said coldly. No problem. Yi Tianyun had the same intention. Now was not the time to prove himself, but to quickly find these disciples who were under their control. Immediately, Yi Tianyun went out with region leader Yu Long. They first started from the Elder Palace, then went to other areas. Although she could gather all of the disciples, she didn't want to alert them. More importantly, she didn't want to spread the influence of this matter. This was a very big matter. If she gathered all of the disciples, it would definitely cause panic. She would rather slow down and not make a mess. Chapter 16:11. As they went to more and more planets, Yi Tianyun would find more and more cultivators. Basically, there were several disciples with contaminated bloodlines on every planet. These corrupted disciples all held important positions, which meant that they had access to a lot of information. This was a very cruel situation. Regent Lord Yuelong's expression became more and more serious. She had never thought that such a situation would happen in her own faction. She had been investigating all kinds of situations. For example, when recruiting disciples, she would investigate the situation layer by layer, inside and out. As long as there was even a little bit of information, she would not hire them. If they really felt that this disciple was not bad and had some vague information, they would be hired, but they would be temporarily placed on a planet. They would only be allowed to move around after the investigation. Who would have thought that the evil spirit race would not start with those who had just joined? Instead, they would target those disciples who held important positions. They would probably catch them while they were training and quickly contaminate their bloodlines. This was equivalent to gradually controlling their souls and making them listen to their control. This method was very ruthless, and the price was also very high. The higher the cultivation, the higher the price. However, as a plunderer, the evil spirit race had astonishing resources. It was definitely enough for them to squander freely. After the planets were quickly searched, Yi Tianyun took a deep breath and said, "It's almost done. We've searched all of them. As for those who are especially hidden or have not returned, I can't guarantee anything. At least those here have contaminated bloodlines. Regent Lord Yulong can check them one by one." Regent Lord Yulong brought this group of people back to the Elders' Hall. The others were still there. There were dozens of disciples here, including heavenly venerables and divine lords. They were all at different cultivation levels. So many. After seeing this, they immediately gasped. This was really terrible. So many disciples had been infected. If this was really the case, not only would their information be exposed, but there would also be no secrets to speak of. Unless it was some special secret, most of them would not be secrets at all. There are indeed a lot. Let me check them one by one. Regent Lord Yulong hoped that Yi Tianyun's judgment was wrong. She hoped that not so many disciples' bloodlines had been infected. This number was really shocking. All of them were expressionless. After being controlled, they could not move at all. Soon after, Regent Lord Yulong cut off their arms one by one. Soon, blood flowed out. It was a rather terrifying black blood. There were no exceptions. Regent Lord Yuelong's hope was undoubtedly shattered. Moreover, it was shattered in a very cruel manner. Not a single one of them was wrong. They were all correct. Yi Tianyun's appraisal eyes, if he was wrong about this, he would really be blind. Not a single one of them is wrong. Regent Lord Yuelong's heart sank to the bottom. She just didn't want to have so many questions, but not a single one of them was wrong. The others wiped off their cold sweat. They didn't expect there to be so many of them. They were so deeply rooted that all the regions were covered. Yi Tianyun's expression was indifferent. He already knew that there wouldn't be any mistakes. If there really was a mistake, then it would be because they were mistaken. Their bloodlines have been contaminated and forcibly controlled. If we want to get rid of it, not only will we have to clean up their bloodlines, but we will also have to kill the person controlling them. Yi Tianyun said indifferently, "I am not very clear about this. It will be up to Regent Lord Yulong to find out." Yi Tianyun's appraisal eyes couldn't tell who was controlling them. Their situation was very simple. First, their bloodlines were contaminated, and then they were controlled. This control was equivalent to signing a slave contract. Needless to say, they had to kill the person controlling them in order to get rid of them. "Yes, I will take care of this," Regent Lord Yulong said in a deep voice. "I really didn't expect so many of them to be controlled. This is really beyond my imagination. If it wasn't for Regent Lord Tianyun's help, I really would have been kept in the dark, thinking that this would never happen." Heavenly Goddess Towering Ice and the others were extremely ashamed. They really thought that they had done a good job and that there was absolutely no traitor among them. Now, there was indeed no traitor among them, but they were forcibly controlled to become traitors. They were all innocent, but they were forcibly controlled. They couldn't struggle even if they wanted to. This kind of method infuriated them, and they felt like killing someone. "Don't worry, I just helped along the way." Yi Tianyun nodded and said, "By the way, that proof. There is no need for that. With your previous strength, you have already proved that you can deal with heavenly gods without much problem. Furthermore, he has such a special sense that he is able to detect any abnormalities when the other party approaches. Just this point alone is something we can't compare with." Region Lord Yulong nodded and said, "In this way, you are more reliable than us in keeping the evil spirit's orb. However, you are too young to be a guardian of the evil spirit's orb. It will have a great impact on you. That is all I have to say. What you do is up to you. All that is left is to form an alliance. The three major forces will form a secret alliance." She was not in a good mood. With so many disciples being controlled, how could she be in a good mood? She was in a very bad mood. Then, they immediately began to sign the alliance agreement and swear an alliance oath. After the alliance was formed, a voice sounded. "Ding. Successfully completed the special quest ally with Yulong Celestial Realm. Reward, main quest difficulty reduced by half, 10,000 crazy points, 10,000 proficiency points, and increased the friendship between Yulong Celestial Realm and Shotian Celestial Realm." This task was relatively easy to complete. Although it was a bit complicated, it was still within the acceptable range. It was just that they were not in a good mood. After all, so many cultivators had been controlled. If it was anyone else, they would not be happy. It could even be said that their mood was very heavy. "That's it for the time being. I still have something to deal with here. You can wander around here." Region Lord Yulong was naturally busy with a lot of things. First of all, she had to restore all the bloodline of her subordinates and then find out who was controlling them. This matter was enough to keep her busy for a long time. "Since Lord Yulong has something to do, we will not bother you anymore." They knew that Lord Yulong had a lot of things to do, so they left for the time being. After all, there was still a lot of things to be done here. Since their goal has been achieved, there was no need to stay here any longer. Immediately, Yi Tianyun and the others left together. Lord Yulong and the others sent them off and then went to deal with some things. Chapter 16:12. In a special area, an extremely furious voice came. "What's going on? Our spies have all been seen through and captured." "Yes, they were all caught. Not a single one was spared. I tried to contact them and found that they're all under control. There's no way to get any information. Damn it, how did they see through us? They won't be discovered unless they're attacked. Now you're telling me that not a single one was spared? This is too great a loss. Yes, we can't even control them to commit suicide now. They're all imprisoned. I can sense that it's impossible to make them self-destruct or harm themselves. If they could do that, they wouldn't be so strong. We've spent so much time and effort to take root in Yuelong's god realm. Now they're all gone. How are we going to play? Why don't we send someone to sneak in and attack them now? There's no rush. Yuelong's god realm isn't so easy to deal with. Even if we want to deal with it, we have to deal with Heaven Cultivation God Realm first. Heaven Cultivation God Realm's current comprehensive strength is much weaker than Yuelong's God Realm. They were ambushed once before and suffered some losses. Then we'll attack Heaven Cultivation God Realm? Do you believe that I can throw you out of here? Yes, if you believe me, then shut up. We'll talk about these things later. The situation in Heaven Cultivation God Realm this time is surprising, especially the famous Heavenly Venerables. We have to be prepared before attacking. We already know that there are 2 evil spirits pearls and 2 other evil spirits pearls. One is in Fector God Realm, where is the other one? In this special area, they were discussing this matter, everything was waiting for an opportunity. They already knew who had the evil spirits pearls. It would be much easier if they knew. At the same time, Yi Tianyun followed the great Devas back to Heaven Cultivation God Realm. Although Yuelong's God Realm wasn't doing too well, they were still in a good mood. If they could ally with Yuelong's God Realm, they would be more secure in future battles. If they were besieged, they would immediately contact Yuelong's celestial realm. At that time, they would work together from the inside and outside, trapping them immediately. Not a single one of them would be able to escape. Tianyun, I wonder if there are any disciples in our cultivation celestial realm who are being controlled in this aspect. After returning from Yulong's celestial realm, the great Devas immediately wanted Yi Tianyun to investigate. Master, don't be nervous. The heavenly cultivation god realm doesn't have such a situation for the time being. Yi Tianyun looked at the great Devas' nervous expression. He was really frightened by Yuelong's god realm. With so many disciples being controlled, just the thought of it was terrifying. Not only would the secret be leaked, but the key point was that they might be stabbed in the back. Just thinking about it was terrifying. That's true. There are no secrets in the divine realm of cultivation. Even the ancestors are from the evil spirit race. There's no need to do this at all. The great Devas shook his head self-deprecatingly. The cost of infecting the bloodline and then controlling it was too high. In particular, heavenly god Sky Cloud was a traitor. Why would they need to do this? Empyrean god Torrential Cloudsurge was able to roam freely in any region without fear of being discovered, and he was even able to go wherever he please. Oh, right, I almost forgot to ask. What kind of perfect suppression method are you talking about? The great Devas was still very worried about Yi Tianyun's situation. If the evil spirit's pearl remained in his possession, it would definitely affect him greatly. Actually, this is the method. Yi Tianyun reached out and dragged the evil spirit puppet out. There was the evil spirit's pearl on it, and a dense evil aura emanated from it, making Shueyun feel very uncomfortable. Yi Tianyun stood in front of her and blocked the evil aura. This is the evil spirit puppet from before. The great Devas knew that Yi Tianyun had an evil spirit puppet a long time ago, but he didn't expect it to be used like this. That's right, this is the evil spirit puppet. I've embedded the evil spirit's pearl on it, and it'll be able to suppress it. Because it can sever one's blood energy, there's no need to worry about it being extracted, and it can also achieve a sealing effect. Yi Tianyun smiled. I won't be able to seal it myself. Come to think of it, I can seal another evil spirit's pearl without any problems. If possible, ask Patriarch Yudong to give me the evil spirit's pearl. It'll be safer that way. You should say that this way, Realm Lord Shotian won't have to suffer like this. I'll talk to Patriarch Yudong about this. I've never been able to find a perfect sealing effect. If it's that effective, then I can give it to you. However, it looks like Patriarch Yudong won't give it to you. The great Devas spoke in a solemn voice. I'm just worried that if you're surrounded, you'll suffer too many losses, and you'll be in even more danger. With two evil spirits' pearls on him, if Yi Tianyun were to be killed, he would lose two of them. Moreover, it would increase the danger to him, unless Yi Tianyun really had heaven-defying power. Ien, I'll leave this to Master. If it doesn't work, then there's no other way. Yi Tianyun still hoped that he could keep the evil spirit's pearl. Not to mention anything else, he was quite confident in his ability to escape. Unless it was an extremely heaven-defying existence, he could still escape. There was nothing else to do here for the time being, so Yi Tianyun brought Shueyun back. Venerable Feng Qiu temporarily stayed in Yulong God domain. It had been a long time since she returned. This time, she would definitely stay there for a while. When they returned to the Three Realms God domain, Yi Tianyun smiled and said, I told you, you can definitely help, and there's no need to be nervous. This counts as helping, isn't it just saying a few more words? Although she said that, Shueyun was still very happy. To be able to form an alliance with such a powerful force, her contribution was great. After all, it was all thanks to Shueyun that they managed to persuade Yulong God domain. A few more words is enough. Yi Tianyun carried her, scaring Shueyun so much that she screamed. She was really frightened. We'll be seen. Shueyun blushed. You're really old and frivolous. What kind of situation is this, and you're still playing like this? Look as you please, provided that they can see. Yi Tianyun laughed and carried her back to their residence. Things were done for the time being. Now, he needed a good rest and to improve the Three Realms God domain. There were still many things that he had not read carefully. After obtaining the Divine Spirit Clan's Patriarch's treasure, there were still many things that he needed to improve. Chapter 1613. During this time, Yi Tianyun stayed in the secret room, reading all kinds of martial arts and cultivation experiences. The key was to understand the secrets of the divine realm and the situation of the evil spirit race. There were very detailed records here, but there was also a lot of missing information. However, everything that needed to be recorded was basically recorded here. Overall, the records were very detailed. For example, the number of heretic gods' orbs was clearly recorded here. There was no need to guess who took them, as they were all recorded here. In the cultivation divine realm, Yulong divine realm, Fecta divine realm, and the divine spirit race. There were a total of 4 evil spirits pearls, sealed in the head, hands, feet, and body. It could be said that the evil spirits were divided into 4 parts and sealed in the evil spirits pearls. These were all recorded by the divine spirit race's elders. The divine spirit race's patriarch died in the battle, so the rest of the records were naturally left to the descendants. As for the other divine spirit race members, after the battle, they all went to the inner divine realm. As for the 3 realms, it was controlled by a few divine spirit race elders alone. They didn't bring too many divine spirits with them. Although the elders of the god spirit race had come, they weren't in charge of the affairs of the 3 realms. They were in charge of strengthening the seals here. As time passed, they gradually died until only one divine spirit race elder was left. The Fecta divine realm really has evil spirits pearls. After reading it, Yi Tianyun quickly flipped through it to see if there was a way to get to the Fecta divine realm. The Fecta divine realm was very mysterious. No one knew where it was. If they could join forces with the Fecta divine realm, it would undoubtedly be safer. The 4 evil spirits pearls would fall into the hands of different forces, and no one would know. This was to make it safer, and they didn't want other forces to know. Now that he knew, if he still foolishly fought alone, he would obviously be at a disadvantage. Therefore, it was best to join forces. That would be the strongest defense. After all, they were alone, and the situation wasn't ideal. Joining forces was the right way. Soon, Yi Tianyun found a way to get to the Fecta divine realm. So that's how we get to the Fecta divine realm. It's quite complicated. No wonder we can't find it. Even if we find it, it won't be easy to get in. After learning the method, Yi Tianyun felt that it was quite amazing. If he didn't list it, he wouldn't be able to find the Fecta divine realm either. Just searching for information was pointless. After all, there were all kinds of information. No one knew which was true. Of them. Of information. The main reason was that some of the information was that the Fecta had been leaked. It should be said that most of the information had been released by the Fecta divine realm. If one were to follow this information and search for it, they might not be able to find it even if they died. Yi Tianyun immediately set off to search for the Fecta divine realm. At first, he couldn't contact the Fecta divine realm, but now that he was at a critical juncture, he had to contact the Fecta divine realm. From the looks of these attacks, it was very likely that the evil spirit race would launch a major attack to snatch the evil spirit's pearl. He didn't know how many years it had been, but it seemed like they had been accumulating their strength and were ready to attack in one go to snatch away the evil spirit's pearl. Yulong's god domain was the best proof. They had spent a lot of time preparing for this. Not only did he want to snatch the evil spirit's orb, but he also wanted to control the evil spirit's orb. It's hard to say. The Fecta divine realm might have fallen into their hands as well. Yi Tianyun knew that the Fecta divine realm was a very mysterious place, but he didn't know if they could really defend it. Everything was possible. It was better to investigate and find out. Yi Tianyun left for the Myriad World God domain after he had settled the matter. The key to the Fecta divine realm wasn't in some special area, or in some special ruins, or in some random rock. It was in the Myriad Realms divine realm. No one had expected the Fecta divine realm to be in the Myriad Realms divine realm. In such a chaotic Myriad Realms divine realm, it was hard to hide anything. However, the Fecta divine realm was hidden there. The more dangerous the place, the safer it was. After Yi Tianyun arrived at the Myriad Realms divine realm, he went straight to the world that led to the Fecta divine realm. There was no defense here, so he could enter at will. After entering, he saw a huge temple. Many cultivators came and went. This was called the Temple of Heavenly Luck. There was a huge statue inside, which was the Heavenly Luck God. Legend had it that as long as one worshipped the Heavenly Luck God, their luck would improve. Therefore, many cultivators often came to worship the Heavenly Luck God. Especially when they were preparing for a breakthrough or heading to a dangerous place, they would come to worship the Heavenly Luck God. There were cultivators from all the major forces, but most of them were lone cultivators. Of course, there were also many cultivators who were extremely disdainful of this. Compared to believing in other people's luck, it was better to believe in their own fist. In theory, worshipping the Heavenly Luck God would not increase one's luck. After all, it was only the Heavenly Luck God, not the heavens. The Heavenly Luck God's ability was not that powerful. At the end of the day, it was just the Heavenly Luck God. The Fecta Divine Realm is really interesting. I didn't expect the entrance to be built here. Who would have thought that this was the entrance to the Fecta Divine Realm? No one would believe that the real entrance to the Fecta Divine Realm was in this temple. The Temple of Heavenly Luck God that had existed for a long time was the entrance to the Fecta Divine Realm. Of course, there was more than one entrance, but this was naturally the closest one. It was also the easiest one to get to. After all, it was not far from Yi Tianyun, and he could easily get there by locking onto the coordinates here. After Yi Tianyun entered, he was greeted by the sight of the majestic temple. Right in front of him was the huge Heavenly Luck God. The Heavenly Luck God was a woman. She looked extremely beautiful, and her fingers formed a lotus flower as she looked over with a smile on her face. No matter which angle they looked at it from, it was as if she was looking at them. This gave them the illusion that the Heavenly God of Luck was still alive, and she was constantly watching over them. All of the cultivators who came to pay their respects were tossing all types of spirit medicines, spirit flowers, pills, and even some treasures into the massive box. These were the tributes for the Heavenly Luck God. With so many cultivators coming and going, the total amount of tributes accumulated was definitely going to be astonishing. Chapter 16:14. If Yi Tianyun had not seen it in the records, he would not have believed that this was one of the entrances to the Fecta Divine Realm. The Temple of Luck was a place that everyone in the Divine Realm knew about. To them, it was a very sacred place. Therefore, it would be very difficult to tamper with this place. It could be said that the most dangerous place was also the safest place. This place was dangerous enough. So many cultivators came and went, but they just could not find the entrance to the Fecta Divine Realm. It should be said that those who came here were here to worship Heavenly Goddess Luck, not to find the Fecta Divine Realm. Heavenly Goddess Luck. Yi Tianyun looked at the statue. It was a female cultivator, which was not surprising. However, this statue was very lifelike. No wonder so many people were attracted to it. Just as he was about to investigate further, a group of Empyrean gods suddenly rushed in from outside the door. One of the Empyrean gods in the lead pointed at the statue and said, "Move her away for me. Be gentle with your movements. If you break this statue, I'll make you guys suffer." "Yes, my lord." At this time, a group of heavenly venerables rushed toward the statue of Heavenly Goddess Luck. When the cultivators nearby saw this, they hurriedly stopped them. "What are you doing? If you don't want to die, get out of my way. If anyone interferes, don't blame me for being merciless." The heavenly god who came roared angrily. His heavenly god power pressed down. Many cultivators who came to worship the statue felt their legs weaken, and they directly knelt on the ground. There were no heavenly gods who came to worship the statue. Everyone was a heavenly god, so why would they worship the statue? Therefore, most cultivators were below the heavenly god level. The highest level was only heavenly venerables, and most of them were around the divine lord level. There was no way to resist a heavenly god. If they resisted, only death would be waiting for them. These guys want to come and steal the statue of Heavenly Goddess Luck just because their cultivation is high. That's right. These guys will definitely be haunted by bad luck. Heavenly Goddess Luck, curse these rude people and let them be haunted by bad luck. They kept praying in their hearts, hoping that these rude people would be punished. This statue of the heavenly luck god is going to be mine soon. It's so beautiful. If I can't marry the heavenly luck god, at least the statue of the heavenly luck god will be mine." The heavenly god's eyes were filled with fanaticism. It was clear that he was a fanatical admirer of the heavenly luck god. The heavenly god of luck really did have such a person, and he was still alive. As for where he was, he didn't know. However, one thing was clear, and that was that he had many pursuers. "This is really funny." Yi Tianyun couldn't help but laugh. He didn't think that such a situation would happen. There were people who came to snatch the statue. This was really funny. It looked like the heavenly god of luck really was extraordinarily charming. Otherwise, why would someone even want to steal a statue? He might not be able to woo a person, but moving a statue was not a problem. When these Empyreans went over and surrounded the statue, the surrounding cultivators didn't dare to say anything. They could only stare at them from the side. They wanted to risk their lives, but it was meaningless. In the face of a heavenly god, no matter how much they wanted to protect the heavenly god of luck, they would be slapped to death like ants. "Get ready to lift it." Several Empyreans reached out and grabbed onto the statue, preparing to move it away. However, just as they made contact with the statue of the heavenly god of luck and were about to lift it up, their legs suddenly buckled, and they fell to the side. Their heads smashed viciously against each other, and many of them felt dizzy. "What's going on? I actually tripped. That's strange, me too. How did this happen?" They all got up, but they had only just gotten up when a brick suddenly came crashing down from above, landing heavily on their heads. With a loud bang, a pile of dust was sent flying into the air. They were all fine. They were Empyreans, so they wouldn't actually suffer any injuries from being hit by these bricks. However, they were in an extremely sorry state. They were wrapped in a pile of white dust, and it looked as if they had jumped into a pile of dust. The surrounding cultivators instantly roared with laughter. These rude people were indeed being punished. However, this wasn't the end. They began to yell loudly, asking who had sneak attacked them. One of them tilted his body and directly smashed into his companion, sending him flying. None of them suffered any serious injuries, but they appeared to be in an extremely sorry state. To put it bluntly, it was just some small scuffles that made them look extremely sorry. "What are you all doing?" The heavenly god at the side roared angrily. What kind of idiots had he found? They had become like this just by moving a statue. "Emilord, this is very strange. It looks like we're really plagued by bad luck." Those Empyreans didn't dare to touch the statue of the heavenly god of luck anymore. They had only just touched it, and they had already suffered so much. They weren't injured, but it was extremely embarrassing. So many people were watching from the side, how could they not feel embarrassed? "Damn it, let me do it." The heavenly god flew into a rage. He raised his hand and sent those Empyreans flying to the side. He raised his foot and walked toward the heavenly god of luck. He reached out and grabbed the statue of the heavenly god of luck. Just as he was about to carry it away, suddenly, another brick came crashing down. It very cleverly smashed into his head, and he didn't even have the slightest reaction. With a loud bang, the heavenly god was smashed until his head was covered in dirt, and he looked extremely sorry. Most importantly, he hadn't sensed anything at all. He had been ambushed by a brick. However, the heavenly god didn't give up. He grabbed the statue of the heavenly god of luck and lifted it up. However, the statue didn't move at all. It remained firmly in place. What's going on? Why is it so stable? The heavenly god didn't believe it and continued to lift it up. However, for some reason, a weapon from one of his companions swung over and smashed into his body. "What are you doing?" The heavenly god turned around in rage. Fortunately, the weapon didn't stab him. It merely smashed into him. "Emilord, I'm sorry. I just wanted to check the weapon. I didn't think my hand would slip." The Empyrean felt so wronged that he wanted to die. He didn't even know why his hand had slipped. Scram! The heavenly god waved his hand angrily and sent the Empyrean flying. He then continued to move the statue. However, no matter what he did, he was unable to move it. Instead, he was plagued by all kinds of bad luck. If it wasn't bricks, It was all kinds of weapons that came crashing down on him. There were even some small insects that crawled up his body. On the side, Yi Tianyun was very surprised. He could sense the energy fluctuations here. To be more accurate, it was the fluctuations of his luck stat. These Empyreans' luck stat really plummeted when they were being rude to the statue. Chapter 16:15. This should have something to do with the formation. Yi Tianyun scanned the area. There were many formations set up in the heavenly deity temple, and there were definitely formations that could affect providence. Otherwise, it would be rather difficult to affect a person's providence. However, he believed that the heavenly goddess of luck's own luck must be extremely astonishing. Otherwise, she really wouldn't have the guts to call herself the heavenly goddess of luck. The main thing was that she was lucky enough to do everything with luck. It wasn't that such cultivators didn't exist, but they were extremely rare. These people were even more talented than geniuses. They could be said to be top-notch monsters. Providence accounted for most of a cultivator's potential. It could be said that the fortuitous encounter completely depended on providence. For example, if one entered a forest with amazing providence, they could casually take a few steps and find amazing spirit herbs. Then, they could casually take a few steps and find an inheritance left behind by a certain senior. Others probably wouldn't be able to find anything even if they dug 3 feet into the ground. This kind of providence could casually dig around and find all kinds of ancient divine artifacts. It was simply infuriating to compare oneself with others. This kind of heaven-defying luck often went too smoothly, and it was easy for them to encounter bottlenecks or not be able to withstand any setbacks. However, seeing that the heavenly goddess of luck could cultivate to the heavenly god level, she definitely wouldn't be too weak. Luck is really a good thing. Yi Tianyun had experienced it himself, so how could he not know? He had a very high luck value. After activating the luck halo, there was no need to describe the effects. However, sometimes he didn't need it, so he was too lazy to activate it. After all, sometimes after activating it, he could indeed find some treasures, but the treasures didn't meet his needs, so he was too lazy to activate it. Just as he was thinking about how to go to the Fecta divine realm, another group of heavenly venerables and a heavenly god arrived. Take this heavenly goddess of luck statue away. If it's even slightly damaged, I'll make you suffer. A familiar feeling appeared in front of everyone again. This was most likely another competitor who was trying to steal the heavenly god of luck. When this heavenly god saw the other heavenly god, he was furious. "What did you do to my goddess?" After saying that, this heavenly god came over and beat him up. Another heavenly god was also furious. "What do you mean by your goddess?" "This is my goddess." After that, they started fighting crazily. The other Empyreans looked at each other in dismay. What was going on? These two heavenly gods fought crazily all the way from here to the outside of Luck Heavenly God Temple. They still knew their limits. He knew that no reckless actions were allowed here. If he were to use too much force and damage the statue of the heavenly luck god, then he would be in deep trouble. When they rushed out to determine the victor, the place immediately quieted down, restoring its previous tranquility. The Empyreans who came looked at each other. The master who hired them had gone to fight, so they were not in a hurry to move the statue for the time being. "You were hired to move the statue, right? I advise you not to do anything rash. Blaspheming the heavenly god of luck will bring you bad luck. We'll be taking our leave now." The last batch of Empyreans took advantage of the fact that the heavenly god that hired them was fighting outside to leave in a hurry, not daring to stay here any longer. If they continued to stay here, they didn't know what would happen. They didn't want to embarrass themselves. As a heavenly venerate, he really couldn't afford to lose face in front of so many cultivators. After warning them, they hurriedly left this place. The other Empyreans looked at each other, not knowing whether they should continue or not. While the heavenly gods outside were locked in a fierce battle, another batch of Empyreans rushed in from outside. There was also a heavenly god among them. "Hurry up and move the statue of the heavenly god of luck down. If you damage it even a little bit, you're dead." This time, it was a female heavenly god. Unexpectedly, she was also a worshipper of the heavenly god of luck and wanted to move the statue away. The result was no different. The Empyreans who moved the statue were immediately covered in dust. The Empyreans who were watching from the side were all dumbfounded. Would they really be plagued by bad luck? Not only were their own people fighting each other, but bricks would also fall from the sky. What the hell? They took advantage of the fact that the heavenly god that hired them were locked in a fierce battle to quickly run away. How would they dare to stay here any longer? Yi Tianyun, who was watching from the side, couldn't help but laugh. The Fector Divine Realm was indeed the Fector Divine Realm. Even the formations they set up were so strange. However, he believed that the heavenly god of luck was also from the Fector Divine Realm. It was just that no one would have guessed that the heavenly god of luck was from the Fector Divine Realm. He then ignored them and made his way behind the statue of the heavenly god of luck. There were also many cultivators worshipping the statue there. The heavenly god of luck's back is still so beautiful. She's so beautiful, that's right, I hope the heavenly god of luck can bless me with good luck. If only I could marry the heavenly god of luck, *T. Do you think the heavenly god of luck will take a fancy to someone like you with such a low cultivation base? The fact that they were discussing the statue behind its back showed just how popular the heavenly god of luck was. Yi Tianyun shook his head and turned his gaze to the statue behind the heavenly god of luck. The real entrance was on the statue's back. To be more precise, he was looking for clues from the heavenly god of luck's back. Soon, Yi Tianyun found a faint white dot. This white dot was actually very inconspicuous, and many cultivators would basically overlook it. After all, it was quite meaningless. Wasn't it normal for a statue to have a white dot on it? Yi Tianyun looked toward the white dot, and his gaze just so happened to fall on a small square brick. This square brick was only one of the tens of thousands of square bricks here, and there was nothing special about it. However, this square brick was the key to leading to the real passageway. All of the other square bricks were completely useless. Yi Tianyun looked around, and he quickly flew over while everyone was staring at the heavenly god of luck before extending a hand to touch this square brick. His body then flashed, and he disappeared on the spot. He didn't need to break any spell formations or anything like that. All he had to do was gently touch it, and he would immediately enter the real passageway. This was actually similar to a teleportation spell formation in that anyone who touched it would be teleported away. No one noticed that someone was missing, and no one paid any attention to Yi Tianyun. After all, it wasn't a big deal for a heavenly venerate to wander around here, so no one would pay any attention to him. After entering, Yi Tianyun discovered that he had appeared in a very ordinary passageway with no bright spots around him. He didn't think too much about it, and he continued onward. Just as he was about to reach the exit, a beautiful figure appeared at the entrance of the passageway, blocking his way. "Who are you?" A very pleasant voice sounded from up ahead. Chapter 16:16. Yi Tianyun didn't think that he would encounter the heavenly luck goddess here. This heavenly luck goddess was the guardian of the passageway and wouldn't allow anyone to pass through. Everyone was searching for the heavenly luck goddess, but who would have thought that she would be here? Heavenly luck goddess. Yi Tianyun looked at her with a smile. A bunch of cultivators are arguing over your statue. Who would have thought that you would be hiding here? The heavenly luck goddess was quite powerful, having reached the intermediate heavenly god intermediate stage. She was also quite young, only around 1,000 years old. She was around the same age as heavenly venerate Feng Qiu, but her cultivation base was far more powerful than heavenly venerate Feng Qiu's. Her entire body exuded the aura of luck, as if one would be able to find many treasures just by strolling around with her. Many cultivators were envious of the state of being doted on by thousands of people. "I'm asking who you are." The heavenly luck goddess's brows furrowed as she flicked a finger, upon which the passageway around them was quickly sealed off, trapping Yi Tianyun. This was an extremely important passageway, so she couldn't just let anyone pass through, especially not a cultivator with an unknown identity. She didn't know how he had found it, but it was quite miraculous that he had managed to find it by accident. There were so many bricks here, and they were all the most inconspicuous ones. Unless one was specifically looking for them, they would most likely be unable to find them no matter how they were thrown or smashed. However, Yi Tianyun had come here, and he was only an intermediate heavenly venerate, which made her very confused. I'm here to form an alliance with the Fekta sacred realm. I bear no ill will, Yi Tianyun explained. Fekta sacred realm? The heavenly luck goddess' heart sank, but she maintained a calm expression. There's no such place. This is my territory. Who else knows about this place aside from you? The heavenly luck goddess immediately refused to admit that this was the passageway to the Fekta sacred realm. At the same time, a faint light began to appear on her palm, and killing intent began to surge from her eyes. There was no doubt that she was planning to silence him. The passageway to the Fekta sacred realm could not be made known to anyone. This action naturally fell into Yi Tianyun's eyes. If it were him, he wouldn't let this trespasser get away so easily. The mysteries of the Fekta divine realm and the situation of the evil spirits' pearl could not be allowed to spread. Don't be nervous. Only I know about this passageway. I knew about this place, that's why I came here. To be clear, I am also the guardian of the evil spirit's orb. I believe you should know about this thing, right? Yi Tianyun said straightforwardly. With the heavenly luck god's cultivation base and status, it wouldn't be an issue for her to know about the evil spirit's pearl. It was better to directly state the purpose of his visit than to fight. Especially towards his own people, he had no intention of fighting. If they wanted to fight, they should just kill him, not spar. You're the guardian of the evil spirit's orb? The heavenly luck god's eyes narrowed as she sized up Yi Tianyun, as if she wanted to see through him. Stop messing with me. You're only an intermediate heavenly venerate, and you're telling me you're a guardian? Yi Tianyun shook his head and immediately released the aura of the evil spirit's orb. After sensing the evil spirit's orb, the heavenly luck god's expression shifted. Such a familiar feeling, it was definitely the heretic god's orb, and not something else. Only the aura of the evil spirit's orb could be so sinister. Heavenly luck god, is this the aura of the evil spirit's orb? Yi Tianyun asked with a faint smile. This is indeed the aura of the evil spirit's orb. However, your cultivation base is so low, yet you're acting as a guardian. This is very dangerous. The heavenly luck god wore a solemn expression. As a guardian, she knew what it meant to be a guardian. That's another matter. I want to form an alliance with the Fekta sacred realm. Do I have the right to do so as a guardian? Yi Tianyun asked with a smile. I don't know if you have the right to do so, but you do have the right to enter. The killing intent in the heavenly luck god's eyes disappeared, and she gestured for him to follow her. Yi Tianyun followed her, and after passing through the passageway, he was greeted by the sight of a series of teleportation formations. There were many teleportation formations here. As far as the eye could see, there were at least 1,000 teleportation arrays densely packed together. Yi Tianyun was a little dumbstruck. There were so many teleportation formations just to fool an invader. Heavenly luck god, you don't even have to stand guard here. Just these teleportation formations alone are enough to give me a hard time. Yi Tianyun shook his head with a wry smile. He could see the teleportation formations with his detection eyes, but he really didn't know which one was the real teleportation formation. The records didn't go into too much detail. It was only stated that one could enter the Fekta sacred realm through the heavenly luck temple. You have to be careful about everything. The heavenly luck god pulled out a piece of jade. Come on in. Only then can I take you in. All right. Yi Tianyun immediately entered the jade without any hesitation. The heavenly luck god faltered upon hearing this. She didn't think that Yi Tianyun would agree so readily. Normally, entering a jade formation was equivalent to being trapped. Even though one could break out of it, it wasn't that simple. Yi Tianyun went in without hesitation, which made her change her opinion a bit. The heavenly luck god didn't say anything else before flying toward the real area. Yi Tianyun had to have done his homework before he dared to enter. If it really was something that couldn't be broken, then he definitely wouldn't dare to enter. Furthermore, he knew the rules here, so he definitely couldn't let him know the real route. Even if he was the owner of the evil spirit's pearl, who could guarantee that he was a companion? He was only released after staying in the jade formation for a while. When he came out, he was immediately astonished by the scene before him. If Yuelong's divine realm was beautiful before, then this place was filled with extreme fantasies. The houses around him weren't ordinary houses at all. Instead, they were all special houses that could be moved. Not only that, but there were also many mechanical airships flying through the air. There was a massive sun directly overhead. It wasn't actually a sun at all. Instead, it was a sun that was filled with all types of mechanical parts. The sun slowly rotated in the air, transmitting bursts of warm energy to all of the machinery here. There were many cultivators coming and going in front of him. All of them were dressed in different attires, and they were all carrying many mechanical tools on their backs. What a mystical world! Cultivation and machinery are combined. Yi Tianyun was truly astonished upon seeing this. This was far too miraculous. Chapter 16-17. A world of machinery and cultivation appeared in front of Yi Tianyun. There were special machinery everywhere, and there were also mechanical guards made of machinery. They were all huge and looked very shocking. The core that drove them was the core, which meant that many cores were needed to drive them. However, just a little bit was enough to drive them. The sun in the sky could continuously replenish their energy. Correspondingly, if they left this place, it would be very difficult to maintain for too long in the divine domain outside. At that time, they would need to replenish their core energy. Otherwise, they would not be able to last for long. At the same time, they were very strong. For example, these guards were all at the Divine Lord level. As for the Empyrean level, Yi Tianyun had not seen them yet. He believed that there were still some, but not many. An Empyrean level puppet guard was not that easy to create. In particular, these machine-made puppets were even more difficult. However, even if they were ordinary puppets, making an Empyrean level puppet was shockingly difficult, and the cost was even more shocking. Empyreans were already very strong. Although they could not compare to heavenly gods, they were still Empyreans. They were strong enough to fight in many battles. Now, these mechanical puppets could replace a lot of their combat power. At least they were not afraid of death, and they did not have to worry about dying. If they died, they died. They could just make another one. In addition to the mechanical guards, there were all kinds of flying spirit ships and flying mechanical beasts. These mechanical beasts were made of some special materials. Most of them were relatively familiar materials. Only a small part of the core area was not so easy to identify. On the surface, most cultivators could tell what materials they were made of, but the inside was not so sure. The key was still the technology inside, which was the most important. So this is the Fector Divine Domain. How interesting. Yi Tianyun looked around. In addition to these mechanical guards, there were many cultivators coming and going. There were different levels of cultivation, and the lowest was at the Star Lord level. These disciples seemed to be filled with wisdom. Their eyes were filled with a boundless thirst for knowledge, as well as boundless wisdom. If one wanted to join the Fector Divine Domain, they would not be able to do so without an extremely high comprehension ability. Otherwise, if they could not understand even after a long explanation, they would have joined for nothing. Is it interesting? A smile appeared on the heavenly luck goddess face. It is indeed very interesting. The Fector Divine Realm is truly a miracle of this era. She held the Fector Divine Realm in high esteem. She felt that the Fector Divine Realm could create anything and everything, and that they were practically omnipotent gods. Even if they cultivated to the heavenly god realm, they still wouldn't be able to create life. However, the Fector Divine Realm could. Although this kind of life form had no intelligence, it could still become intelligent through the support of artifact spirits. This was the perfect combination of machinery and cultivation, thus making up for the rigidity of machinery. It is indeed a miracle. Yi Tianyun followed the heavenly god of luck all the way, and the cultivators around him looked at him from top to bottom. Over the years, there were very few unfamiliar faces that came in. As such, while greeting the heavenly god of luck, they were constantly appraising Yi Tianyun, trying to glean something from him. However, none of them asked any questions. The heavenly goddess of luck was far more qualified than them, so they were too embarrassed to ask any more questions. Under the guidance of the heavenly god of luck, they arrived at a special palace, which was also filled with machinery. However, there was a huge mechanical hourglass hanging on the wall here, from which special quicksand slowly fell. Yi Tianyun could sense that the passage of time around him was clearly being controlled by this mechanical hourglass, thereby making time flow much more slowly than outside. I'm too busy, there's not enough time. This is too difficult, how can we break through it? There's not enough time. A few heavenly venerates rushed over in a hurry. Upon seeing the heavenly god of luck, they greeted her before continuing with their work. Yi Tianyun was quite amused at the sight of them. It looked like they had gone completely insane when it came to research. He also realized what the purpose of this quicksand was, which was to slow down the passage of time in order to buy them more time. They were most likely creating these things to deal with something. The heavenly god of luck didn't provide any further explanations. Yi Tianyun didn't join them, so there was naturally no need to explain anything to him. The room where the Fector region lord is staying is up ahead. The heavenly god of luck pointed to a small room up ahead, which was no different from other rooms without any extravagant decorations. He followed the heavenly god of luck and knocked on the door, upon which the heavenly god of luck replied, "Come in." Only then did the heavenly god of luck push open the door and enter. Yi Tianyun followed her in, and he had only just entered when he immediately sensed a powerful evil aura enshrouding the entire room. He turned his head and saw that the heretic god's orb was being enveloped by all sorts of machines and was being sealed. However, these machines were still being infected by the aura of the evil spirits. Some of them had been corroded, while others had become extremely black and were even on the verge of going out of control. Beside the evil spirit's pearl stood a slovenly old man. His entire head was enshrouded in hair, and he looked quite comical. Some of his hair had even become clumps, giving him a rather unkempt appearance. However, no one would think that he was unkempt, or at least, no one dared to say that he was unkempt. This was because he was the Fector realm lord, and his cultivation base was at the upper heavenly god initial stage. However, he had been working hard to find something that could suppress the evil spirit's pearl, so perhaps it was a bit of a hindrance to his cultivation. Elder Luck, you're here. This little friend doesn't appear to be one of our brethren. Could it be that you think he's a good seedling, Elder Luck? The Fector realm lord turned to look at Enlin. Even though his entire face was enshrouded in hair, his eyes, which were filled with wisdom, were not. No, he's also the guardian of the evil spirit's pearl, and he's here to form an alliance with us. The heavenly god of luck revealed the reason for Yi Tianyun's visit. Guardian? The Fector realm lord sized him up with narrowed eyes. I can't sense the aura of the evil spirit's pearl emanating from you at all. Even if you've suppressed it very well, there should at least be a hint of its aura. Yi Tianyun released a tiny bit of his aura, and the Fector realm lord narrowed his eyes upon sensing it. Impressive. You have a brain that can suppress the evil spirit's pearl. That's the most troublesome part. Most importantly, you're not the one who's suppressing the evil spirit's pearl, but someone else. This life form is a little familiar, but its aura is too weak, so I can't sense it. Chapter 1618. The evil spirit puppet's aura had been completely suppressed by Yi Tianyun a long time ago, so it basically couldn't release any aura. However, the Fector domain lord was still able to sense it. It looked like the Fector domain lord was quite a perceptive person. Even the heavenly goddess Luck was able to sense it, so the Fector domain lord was able to sense it a little more easily. Even though it was only a little, he was still able to sense it. He had released it several times in the past, but neither the heavenly goddess Luck nor the domain lord Yulong were able to sense it. It was evident that the Fector domain lord was not an ordinary person. Don't worry about that. At the very least, I can control it, and that's enough. Yi Tianyun didn't expose the evil spirit puppet. They had only just met, so there was no way he was going to expose everything. At the same time, he was constantly inspecting the evil spirit's pearl. The Fector domain lord was sealing the body of the evil spirits, so it was the second most difficult to seal. The first was naturally the head. The head had always been the most difficult to seal, and it required a lot more energy to do so. He couldn't sense what it was just from its aura, so he could only see through the surface of the pearl with his naked eye. The Fector domain lord was able to immediately sense that it was the head. Yi Tianyun guessed that he was able to sense it from the density of the evil energy. The denser the evil energy, the higher the level of the body. As for the Fector Domain Lord's sealing technique, it was completely different from the other Domain Lords, who used their own bodies to seal the pearl. The Fector Domain Lord was completely relying on machines to seal the pearl, and he was also trying to figure out how to control and use this evil spirit's pearl. It had to be said that there was a huge difference between people. The other Domain Lords were constantly thinking about how to seal the pearl for a longer period of time, or they were considering who would be the next Domain Lord. However, the Fector Domain Lord and the others didn't even need to use their own bodies. All they did was use these machines to seal the pearl, then try to draw out the evil energy within to see how to use it. It seemed to be quite difficult, so they hadn't been able to successfully use it, but at the very least, it seemed to be quite effective. Take it out for me to see. Ignoring him, the Fector Domain Master walked toward Yi Tianyun and stared at him with sharp eyes. If you don't show me, I won't form an alliance with you. The Fector Protectorate Lord's crazed state gave Yi Tianyun a fright. This was the first time he had seen such a strong thirst for knowledge. Everyone has their own secrets. I can't let you see them unless you form an alliance with me first. Yi Tianyun also threatened him with an alliance. Yes, we can form an alliance now. Show me. The Fector Domain Ruler's quick reply stunned Yi Tianyun. Wasn't it too exaggerated to decide on an alliance so quickly? Just because he was slightly interested in something, he immediately chose to form an alliance. He didn't even consider the consequences. The heavenly goddess Luck couldn't take this any longer, and she hurriedly held the Fector Domain Ruler back. Fector Domain Ruler, what are you doing? This is an alliance, and it's not something that can be casually formed. You have to assess the situation first. It was far too rash to form an alliance without even knowing what was going on. That's true, we can't be too rash. After you show me, if you think there's some research value in it, we can form an alliance right away. How about that? The Fector Domain Ruler suggested. The heavenly goddess Luck almost fainted upon hearing this. There was a difference between the two options, but it didn't just depend on whether Yi Tianyun's method was good or not. If his method was good, then they would form an alliance. This alliance was far too rash. If they were to form an alliance with a scammer, then they would be screwed. Most importantly, the Fector Domain had never interfered much with the outside world, so it was clearly not very appropriate for them to form an alliance. Yi Tianyun almost spat out a mouthful of saliva. This Fector Domain Ruler sure was rash. However, from the look in his eyes, he could tell that this wasn't the case at all. He then thought about it for a moment before deciding to bring out the sinister spirit puppet. After releasing the sinister spirit puppet, a sinister energy immediately began to spread throughout the room. This gave the heavenly goddess Luck a fright, and she immediately prepared for battle, only to be stopped by the Fector Domain Ruler. Elder Luck, stop right now. The Fector Domain Ruler signaled for Elder Luck to stop before inspecting the sinister spirit puppet. What kind of ability is this? To think that it could completely control the sinister spirit tribe and even seal the evil spirit's pearl within it. How bold of you. This is a puppet ability, Yi Tianyun explained. A puppet. The Fector Domain Ruler inspected the sinister spirit puppet. This puppet ability is way too powerful. I've never seen anything so realistic. I can't detect any abnormalities at all. Normal puppet techniques will always be exposed no matter how hard they try to conceal themselves. At most, they'll only be able to conceal themselves very well. However, none of them are as flawless as you are. Yi Tianyun's sinister spirit puppet was naturally unable to detect any flaws. After all, it was constructed from the flesh and blood of sinister spirit puppets, so how could it detect any flaws? This is a mystic technique. This was the only explanation Yi Tianyun could provide. If you exchange this mystic technique with me, I'll form an alliance with you immediately. At the same time, many areas of the Fector Divine Realm will be open to you. The Fector Domain Ruler was going crazy again. He wasn't serious at all. No, this cannot be leaked. Yi Tianyun smiled. Speaking of which, are you satisfied with this, Fector Domain Ruler? You said before that if you were satisfied, you'd form an alliance. You didn't say that this mystic technique was necessary. Yi Tianyun's puppetry technique definitely couldn't be leaked. In fact, it couldn't be leaked at all. I can't leak it. Alright, as long as you give this puppet to me for a while. I'll return it to you after I'm done researching it. Then, I'll form an alliance with you. What do you think? The Fector domain ruler agreed readily. Yi Tianyun was stunned by the Fector domain ruler's quick reply. He hadn't expected things to go so smoothly. If he could form an alliance with the sinister spirit puppet after some research, then he might as well take it and study it. He wasn't afraid that the sinister spirit puppet would be dismembered. It was basically indestructible, and he could just gather it back together. Fector domain ruler. The heavenly god of luck was about to go crazy. She didn't think that her domain ruler would agree so quickly. How about it? Do you agree? The Fector domain ruler chuckled. No problem, but I have a condition for handing it over to you. It can't be too long. Otherwise, if it takes tens of thousands of years, wouldn't I be at a disadvantage? Also, you can't touch it too much. This is the pearl of evil spirits, and it could easily cause problems if you're not careful. Yi Tianyun stated his conditions first so that he wouldn't have to research it for tens of thousands of years before agreeing to this. Chapter 16:19. Then let's set a time. We can't do anything rash. Yi Tianyun shook his head. The Fector domain Lord Shaw was crazy. He didn't know if he was actually crazy or just pretending to be crazy. He seemed to be very casual about everything, as though nothing mattered to him. He could even talk about forming an alliance without any hesitation. Then let's do it for a few years. We'll have to research for at least a few decades, right? But don't worry, the flow of time here is quite slow, so we'll take care of the flow of time here. If you stay outside, it'll only be a few months at most. It'll be over soon. The Fector domain lord said, if there's nothing else, you can leave now and wait for my news. In the meantime, you can wander around as you please, as long as it's not a restricted area. After that, he let Yi Tianyun go out so that he won't disturb his research. Yi Tianyun shrugged before turning to leave. In any case, the Fector domain lord had already said that, so he would just have to wait for some time. He was quite happy to see the Fector domain lord agree so readily. After he left, the heavenly goddess Luck hurriedly said, Fector domain lord, what's going on? Aren't you being too hasty? We haven't even figured out who the other party is, and you're already agreeing to an alliance. The heavenly goddess Luck was really panicking. She had been trying to persuade the Fector domain lord from the very beginning, but the Fector domain lord completely ignored her. A faint smile appeared on the Fector domain lord's face. As long as it's not the evil spirit tribe, isn't that enough? The heavenly goddess Luck faltered slightly upon hearing this. But if the other party is too weak, then we'll have to constantly be on the move. That would expose our Fector domain. How much longer do you think our Fector domain can hide? The Fector domain lord smiled faintly and said, there's not much time left. Even if the evil god is sealed, it's impossible for the evil spirit race to have no experts. Think about it, how did he manage to come in through such a secluded place? This was an accident. The heavenly goddess Luck was perplexed. No, it's the divine spirit race, the Fector domain master said with a smile. Only the divine spirit race knows that he came from your temple. It's undeniable that some of them came in by accident, and they happen to be the guardians of the evil spirit's heads. Isn't it a good way to prove that they're from the divine spirit clan? An emissary of the god spirit race or a guardian? Isn't that enough to form an alliance with us? Even though the divine spirit race has declined, they are still our pioneers and our great leaders. When the other party is in danger, why shouldn't we form an alliance? The Fector region ruler's explanation stunned the heavenly goddess of luck. It seemed that the Fector domain lord wasn't in a hurry to study the Gal puppet, but that he had discovered many things about it. Fector domain lord, I'm very sorry. I thought you only chose to ally with us because of this puppet. This is also why I want to form an alliance. Such a good puppet, how can I not study it properly? She followed the heavenly goddess of luck out of the room with an enraged expression. She was about to be driven insane by the Fector region ruler. In the end, she was completely engrossed in her research and didn't pay any attention to anything else. How could she be in a good mood? When she came out of the room, she discovered that Yi Tianyun was surveying his surroundings, clearly quite interested in the hourglasses around him. So he's the representative of the divine spirit race? I wonder what he's capable of. I thought he really was a guardian, but it turns out he's just a puppet. That's a little strange. The heavenly goddess of luck's eyes darted around. I'll test him first. The Fekta region ruler doesn't want to test him, but I want to. The heavenly goddess of luck made her way over to Yi Tianyun with a smile. Speaking of which, I still don't know what your Dao title is. Heavenly Venerate Heavenly Cloud, you can just call me that. Yi Tianyun turned to look at her, and he couldn't help but feel like something bad was about to happen at the sight of the heavenly goddess of luck's smile. Heavenly Venerate Heavenly Cloud, what kind of power are you currently in? The heavenly goddess of luck asked with a sweet smile. It had to be said that she was quite approachable, especially her beautiful face, which gave people a good impression of her. There was also a special aura emanating from her body that enshrouded her entire body. Yi Tianyun used his detection eye to discover that she had a natural halo of luck, and she was constantly releasing her power of luck. Anyone who approached her would most likely receive good luck. The power I'm currently in is the God realm of the three realms, Yi Tianyun replied in a very straightforward manner. The God realm of the three realms? The heavenly goddess of luck faltered upon hearing this. The God realm that has recently been blessed by the heavens, and it's a very weak one at that. It seems that my force is quite famous. Yi Tianyun said with a smile, it's not a secret. It's quite renowned, but I heard that its overall power is quite lackluster. The heavenly goddess of luck looked at him with a peculiar expression. If it weren't for the fact that the heavens blessed them with a special barrier, they would have been razed to the ground a long time ago. Every time the topic of the God realm of the three realms was brought up, everyone would feel like the God realm of the three realms was simply too lucky. It was as if the heavens were blind to take care of such a weak God realm. Even the God realm of the three realms didn't receive this kind of treatment. If they didn't have a powerful backer, they would have been immediately conquered. The God realm of the three realms didn't have any powerful backers, but they had a powerful backer like the heavens. Haha, that's true. Yi Tianyun smiled. He was naturally aware of this. However, even if there really was no protective barrier, it would be impossible for other powers to conquer the God realm of the three realms. He was definitely going to make those invading powers feel like they were in an extreme nightmare. If Yi Tianyun couldn't defeat them, he could choose to run. When he made a breakthrough in his cultivation base, he would make them realize what a huge mistake they had made. Aside from that, what other advantages does the God realm of the three realms have? The heavenly god of luck was listening to Yi Tianyun's explanation. The divine spirit race didn't ask Yi Tianyun directly. Advantages? I have a bunch of very powerful friends. Is that an advantage? Yi Tianyun smiled. A lot of powerful friends. The heavenly goddess of luck wore a peculiar expression. What kind of powerful friends did they have? Aside from that, there's still me. Is that enough? Yi Tianyun smiled. This. The heavenly goddess of luck felt like Lin was far too shameless. A heavenly venerate was nothing to a fourth-grade god realm cultivator. Any random cultivator would be able to surpass him. Chapter 1620. The heavenly goddess of luck was a little displeased with Yi Tianyun. She felt that as a guardian, he shouldn't be so pompous. He should be more prudent instead of being so arrogant. If the three realms mythical realm didn't have a protective barrier, it would have been breached a long time ago. How could a mere heavenly venerate defend it? As such, as a very responsible heavenly goddess of luck, she felt that she had to teach Yi Tianyun a lesson. She couldn't allow him to continue being so pompous. The evil spirit's pearl was a very important item, and she couldn't afford to be careless. As such, she had to be prudent at all times. Yi Tianyun didn't know what she was thinking, and he couldn't be bothered to pay attention to her either. He continued to walk around to see what was going on. He couldn't wait here forever, so he decided to take a stroll around and explore the wonders of the Fekta sacred realm. Heavenly goddess of luck, if there's nothing else, I'll just take a stroll around. Yi Tianyun turned and walked away, ignoring the heavenly goddess of luck. Wait a moment. How about this? I'll take you around the Fekta sacred realm. I'll introduce you to the powerful aspects of the Fekta sacred realm. The heavenly goddess of luck immediately thought of something. That's a good idea. Thank you, Heavenly Goddess of Luck. Yi Tianyun smiled. Then, the Heavenly Goddess of Luck led Yi Tianyun outside. She didn't take Yi Tianyun to the main palace. Instead, she took him to some secluded areas. This area is the Heavenly Fate Divine Pond. There are many treasures under the water. The Heavenly Goddess of Luck led him to the bridge and slowly walked over. Yi Tianyun looked down into the Heavenly Fate Divine Pond. There were indeed many treasures at the bottom of the pond. There were at least Heavenly Tao level treasures, and there were even Heavenly Venerate level treasures. All of these treasures had fallen into the water, but no one had salvaged them, which was quite perplexing. There are so many treasures, but no one is planning to salvage them. Yi Tianyun was perplexed. These treasures are actually defective or damaged. If we throw them into the Heavenly Mysterious Divine Pond, they will slowly recover. A faint smile appeared on the Heavenly Goddess Luck's face. Many of them have been abandoned here, and some of them have been forgotten to be taken away. Normally, we won't take the initiative to clean them up. That's incredible. It's even capable of repairing treasures. Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up. In that case, he didn't even have to repair it himself. All he had to do was to soak it in a pool for a period of time, and it would be able to repair it easily. It's that amazing, and there's something even more amazing. The Heavenly God of Luck continued onward with him as a faint smile appeared on her face. Immediately afterward, a burst of special energy emanated from her body, which enshrouded Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun was startled. He could clearly see a special energy enveloping him. It was naturally not visible to the naked eye, but was detected by the appraisal eye. This was the aura of misfortune. To put it bluntly, one's luck value would decrease upon coming into contact with this aura, thereby making them extremely unlucky. He didn't think that the Heavenly God of Luck would have such an ability. It looked like anything was possible in this world. No wonder she was referred to as the Heavenly God of Luck. She really could control luck and unleash misfortune. Is she trying to see me make a fool of myself? Yi Tianyun rolled his eyes, but his expression remained unchanged as he followed behind her. It was impossible to make him become unlucky with such a measly amount of misfortune. He had only saved so many people and completed so many missions. His luck value was definitely very high, and unless it was an extremely powerful amount of misfortune, it wouldn't affect him in the slightest. This reminded him of the Heavenly Venerates who had been smashed by bricks or tripped over by the Heavenly God of Luck. This energy was extremely formless, and it was impossible to detect, so there was no way to defend against it. However, it didn't mean much to him. Yi Tianyun casually allowed it to envelop him. No matter how this amount of misfortune affected him, it didn't mean anything to him. It couldn't seep into his body at all, let alone make a fool of himself. Hurry up and fall into the water, hurry up. The Heavenly God of Luck screamed in her heart, hoping that Yi Tianyun would fall into the water and become a drenched chicken. However, no matter how hard she tried, it didn't work. She was quite confused. What's going on? Why is there no effect at all? For the first time, she was wondering if she had made a mistake. Was it because her amount of misfortune wasn't high enough? She immediately increased the degree of misfortune several times, but the degree of misfortune still couldn't penetrate Yi Tianyun's body, it was still blocked. After a short while, the Heavenly God of Luck still didn't see Yi Tianyun fall into the water, and he continued to walk behind her without any signs of tripping. It still doesn't work. That's impossible. Even a heavenly god can be affected, unless his luck defies the natural order. The Heavenly God of Luck was astonished. In the past, she had tried it every single time, and it rarely failed. However, it didn't work now. One had to realize that she had already significantly enhanced her luck, but it still didn't work. This was extremely shocking to her. She felt like it had no effect. Yi Tianyun, who was following behind her, had a large handful of bad luck divine pills in his hand. This was something from a long time ago. It was a godly pill that could greatly reduce a person's luck and make them extremely unlucky. He didn't know if they would work on the Heavenly God of Luck, but he still had to give it a try. Seeing as she wanted to see him make a fool of himself, he was going to see the Heavenly God of Luck make a fool of herself. Immediately afterward, he flicked a few bad luck divine pills, all of which easily seeped into her body, but they didn't have any effect even after a short while. As expected of the heavenly god of luck. Her luck is way too domineering. I've used so many bad luck divine pills, and it only decreased her luck by a tiny bit. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. Screw it. He then exchanged for several dozen bad luck divine pills before flicking them all into the heavenly god of luck's body. In the end, her luck was instantly reduced to 0, and it even went into the negatives. Only after expending so many bad luck divine pills was she able to achieve such an effect, which was a clear indication of just how insane her luck was. Ding! Bad luck divine pills activated. Just as the heavenly god of luck was wondering why her luck was ineffective, her foot slipped, and she fell to the side before sinking to the bottom of the lake with a plop. However, that wasn't the end of it. The weapons around her quickly converged before crashing into her body. However, Yi Tianyun couldn't help but burst into laughter upon seeing this. He didn't feel the slightest hint of pity toward her. She wanted to toy with him. Let's see if he could beat her. Even the heavenly god of luck was shocked by this, and she quickly rushed out of the water before hurling all of the weapons toward her. At the same time, she activated her luck in a frenzy, and the bad luck divine pills were quickly nullified,